Start to 2016. They are undefeated. It is the best start in their history since they came to Baltimore in '54. They're doing it with the bats, with an outstanding bullpen, just everything going right. Now they'll try and go 8-0, and more than that, try and sweep the Red Sox at Fenway Park. We'll find out if they can do it. It's the Red Sox and the undefeated Orioles next. It's the Orioles on Masson, and can they sweep the Red Sox on a cool, windy night here at Fenway Park in Boston? The Orioles will wrap up the first part of this road trip as they try and take 3 in a row from the Sox. And welcome, everybody, for the Orioles. This wonderful trip at the beginning of the season continues. Tonight, they'll try and get it done again. Hopefully, Ubaldo Jimenez, who has been their longest starter, first time through the rotation, will be able to do that again tonight, give a little rest to the bullpen, and if the bats keep going the way they are, the Orioles will win. J.J. Hardy knows all about that. Hardy had a night with a pesky pole last night. Take a look. 2 home runs, same place. 4th inning, 1 on. There were 2 down. He wound 1 down the line and put it by the pesky pole. Not once, but twice. Look how close the second one is to the first one. 7th inning, 1 on, 2 out. Just his 6th home run in his career at Fenway Park. Twice around the pesky pole. 302 feet away, most say. They've shot it with the thing you use in golf, and they say it's 295. It didn't matter to him last night. It's named after Johnny Pesky, great player here, who on his 87th birthday in 2006 had the pole named after him. Mel Parnell, a great pitcher here in Boston and a broadcaster for them, started the pesky pole when he was announcing. He said Pesky hit a home run in a game he pitched by that pole, and that's why he called it the pesky pole. Well, the fact is that never happened. However, 17 home runs hit by Pesky in his career, 7 of them ended up going around that pole. So, you know, the story's good, but the facts are even better. It's the pesky pole, and J.J. Hardy's happy he found it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, 2 in 1 game could be the Hardy pole. Certainly in Baltimore, they're thinking that way. Listen, the Orioles are having a lot of fun right now. You saw all the smiles after J.J. hit his 2nd home run. But not only because of 2 home runs around the pesky pole, it was another late-inning big hit. You know, the games have been close, but the Orioles bats, they keep coming. They have been relentless, especially here in this series. Some big innings, 9 runs in the first 2 games here in this series. Of course, they're going to be smiling and having a good time. It is a loose group right now, and they're playing the best baseball we've seen them play.
J.J. Hardy said the best line last night was a text from Dustin Pedroia after the ball game. Dustin texted him and said, "Why don't you take that shot in golf? You'd be a much better player." Well, he used it here at Fenway Park. It certainly worked well for him. When we come back, we'll have a little discussion about a pitcher who may be a starter for the Orioles before this year is done. By Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Let us show you a good time at Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at ococean.com. Clear day, beautiful day, cool, only got to the low 50s, and it'll be cold here tonight with the wind continuing to blow at Fenway. Dylan Bundy, it has been a long road to get onto the roster of the Baltimore Orioles. High expectations for this high draft pick, but he has not pitched very much. Look at the major league level. He's only worked 5 innings in his career. At the minors, only 167. Is this the year Dylan Bundy gets all of that behind him? Well, we talked with him before the game today about this long road back.
Huge step for me. You know, it's been so long. It's been three and a half years, and that's the most innings I've thrown in one game. So, big step, yeah.
Look, a lot of talk about what it will look like at the end of the season, expectations. Are you going to be in the pen? You're going to be starting. For yourself, where would you like to be? What would you like to get done this year?
Just get my innings up. You know, I would love to get my innings up to 90 or even 100 innings this year if I could, but, you know, that's out of my control. That's kind of up to the other people in this organization. So I'll leave it all up to them, and I'll go out there and pitch when they want me to.
How does the arm feel?
Great. You know, no soreness today, and that's a huge step also.
Are you throwing more on the side than you would otherwise if you were been healthy last year coming in rather than being hurt?
Yeah. I'm not going as far as long toss anymore. So, you know, since I'm out of the pen, I could throw almost every day. So I kind of take it easier when we play catch on the field, so I can be ready for that game.
Do you throw hard on the side? I mean, are you looking for velocity in those sessions?
Not always, but there are times, you know, if I haven't gotten in a game in 5 or 6 days, then I'll go out there and let a couple loose to make sure that, you know, I can still throw hard. But just for my mind, I go out there and throw harder sometimes. Anything
you're working on in particular for a different pitch to go with the heat?
Just fastball command, you know, and if I can get fastball command down where I want it to be, and then it'll make all my other pitches better.
How about the start for this ball club? This is fun.
Oh, it's a fun team to be around too. I mean, it's fun anytime you're winning, but it's fun in the clubhouse. We have a good team here.
What is it about this ball club? Because everybody says that.
We're all close. You know, we've all been together. Most of us have been together for 4 or 5 years now. So, or some people have been here longer. So, we're all pretty comfortable with each other, and we respect each other's roles, games, and stuff like that.
All right. At Fenway Park, you had one appearance prior to last night's ball game. What about pitching here?
It's fun, you know. The crowd's into it, and especially when Big Papi steps up into the plate, crowd goes wild, and you can hear that out there on the mound as a pitcher. So it's fun to be here and fun to pitch here.
And in Baltimore, you got a great reception returning to the ball club for opening day, huh?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that. You know, it's nice to know the fans still know I'm around and still see me up here.
Maybe you don't realize. I mean, the fans are still looking for what they thought of when you were drafted. I mean, you realize that the expectations for you legitimately are still pretty high.
Yeah, when I ran out on the orange carpet and I got the ovation that I did, it really made me happy, you know, on the inside, and knowing that the fans still care and still hope the best for me.
Dylan, we really appreciate it and have a great year.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Still only 23 years old, first-round pick Dylan Bundy.
Yeah, pretty amazing. So happy for him to see him back in the major leagues and doing so well. He had a great spring training. There's always concern about the health of his right arm, but I'll tell you what, his mechanics are under control. Ball's coming out of his hand really well. Mid-90s with the fastball. Buck Showalter talked about his changeup has really developed. He's always been able to spin it. You know, Dylan Bundy is right. He just needs to get some innings under his belt. I think this year the thought of Dylan Bundy being a starter is a little far-fetched. They really have to take their time with him. Be careful. Right now he's healthy. It's good to see that he pitched into his 3rd inning last night. But you got to be careful with these arms. Buck Showalter certainly aware of not putting arms in harm's way out in that bullpen.
So he is out there in the bullpen and ready for tonight. Our BGE home game time temperature. It is a cool one tonight, 43 degrees to start. BGE Home is Baltimore's home team for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Why would you call anyone else? Breeze down a little bit, at least for the start of the ball game. Take a look at the Orioles lineup, brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Record at the top: Machado, Davis, Trumbo, Hardy, Alvarez, Scope, Joseph, and Hyung-Soo Kim will get the start in left field for J.J. Hardy last night. First multiple homer game by an Oriole this year.
Let's take a look at Joe Kelly's pitch arsenal this season. The fastball, it's a good one. 61% of the time works in the mid-90s. At times he'll get it up there 98, 99 miles an hour. Has a slider and curveball for his breaking balls, a changeup as well. But there are inconsistencies with those pitches. You saw his numbers there, 21 earned run average, only lasting the 3 innings in his first start this year.
And he will start it out with a strike. Rickard leading it off again for the Orioles. 7-game hit streak for him, including a hit in each of the first 2 ball games this season here at Fenway. And the pitch will be taken away for a ball. He has become the first player in history to hit safely in the first 7 since Hank Aaron had a 12-game hitting streak in 1948 with the St. Louis Browns. 1-1 delivery on the way, and that will be taken outside for a ball. And the Orioles continue to make the opposing pitchers work right from the get-go. The Orioles are seeing a lot more pitches per at-bat than they did last season. Here's the 2-1 delivery on the way. Good breaking ball for a strike.
And they really have to do that with Joe Kelly. Inconsistencies, name of the game for Kelly. Big time arm. A lot of people starting to think that he might be a big time bullpen piece for this team because of the inconsistencies as a starter. But they love the velocity, and some of his off-speed pitches really do flash plus.
And that one's outside. So the count goes to 3-2. The Orioles this season are 7th in pitches per plate appearance at 3.94. They were 12th last year, so they've moved up. Granted, early in the season, but they have moved up considerably from last year. Foul back, and that's one of the reasons why. The Oriole pitchers over the last few years have had opposing hitters foul off a lot. Well, this year the Oriole hitters are fouling off a lot.
They really are. Yeah, putting together great at bats. It seems like every time you look up, a 3-2 count. So seeing a number of pitches, more pitches you see, the better you're going to be. And these guys communicate well. They go back in the dugout, talk about what he's throwing, how he's trying to get him out.
Kelly's delivery on the way, and there's that leadoff walk. Well, the Orioles started out early.
And take a look at the Red Sox defense behind Kelly. Holt, Bradley Jr. and Betts in the outfield. Bogarts and Pedroia double-play combination. Sean Ramirez on the corners, and Ryan Hannigan getting the start behind the plate.
Manny Machado ensconced in that number 2 spot for the moment. See the 3 for 8 he's had. 3 runs scored in the series, a whopping .414 batting average. He is 1 for 6 lifetime against Kelly. He too has a 7-game hit streak. Pretty good lead at first. Machado will take the pitch. It'll be inside for a ball. Tell you one thing around Boston, we've been here, there's a lot of rumblings, and they're negative about this Boston baseball team. You hear it from everybody.
I'm telling you.
I mean, they are not happy with this club. They are 3-4, and the fans don't have much hope this club's going to do much. A lot of them think they're going to finish last again. My doorman at the hotel today, who knows baseball, gave me great scouting.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just tearing into them.
Well, they have had a really disappointing last couple of years, and Red Sox fans, they're getting used to seeing some good baseball around here after winning the World Series, and all, even under the eye of John Farrell. So they expect a little bit more, and they're really disheartened to see, back-to-back losing seasons, and then, guys not running out ground balls, things like that, little detail aspects of the game that, it's not showing them that they're 100% hungry to win every ball game.
Yeah, it's Red Sox are going to have to prove to their fan base that they are ready to play. Rickard's got the attention of Kelly. Pitch on the way, and that's going to be up high. No, the count will go to 2-0 on Manny Machado. Machado checking down to third with Bobby Dickerson to see if there's going to be any movement here over at first base. Kelly working from that first base side of the mound. Infield, double play depth. Rickard not going. Machado puts it up in the air towards center. Jackie Bradley Jr. will put it away for the first out.
Well, we've seen some yesterday. Buck Holtz pitching, and he's had some inconsistencies. and gets kind of nibbling and falling behind hitters, and Kelly kind of in the same boat. Both pitchers quality stuff, but kind of afraid to challenge hitters with their fastball. They're a perfect example. 2-0 count to arguably one of the best players in the game right now, and his fastball get on Manny Machado.
Yep.
But wasting time with breaking balls, falling behind, is this going to lead to more opportunities for this Orioles offense?
Chris Davis, Hub Davis with a big series. Chris has driven in 5 runs in this series. Shift on against him. Kelly's pitch will catch the outside corner for a strike. Long ball has been there for him, and there you see the shifting around again. Shaw, the third baseman, moves over into the second base spot, leaving Bogarts and Pedroia as the double play combination. Against Kelly, Chris has gone 4 for 7 in his career. 3 hits, 8 at bats, a home run in the first 2 games of this set. Work it off first, pitch outside, runner started, stays. Hannigan able to hold it. Outstanding defensive catcher behind the plate for the Red Sox.
Yeah, he pounced on that ball right there, and the way the Orioles have been playing, they have had their eyes on the baseball since the first pitch of 2016. I mean, real heads up on the bases. Rickett, of course, exceptional base runner. Ball gets away from the catcher. We've seen Manny advance. Everybody in the Orioles lineup.
You would think watching the games that the Orioles would have a few stolen bases. They don't. They're 2 for 2, but it's because of what Mike's talking about. They've taken advantage of moving, not stealing bases. First to third, second to third when the ball gets away, whatever. Makes it seem like they may be stealing more, but it's just heads up base running. And the pitch will be taken down low.
Well, and you see the frequency of them being able to advance on pass balls, or even going first and third. Stuff Buck Showalter had really targeted this spring training, and you think there's just so many opportunities in a ball game that could eventually, you know, lead to a win. So you take advantage of those opportunities, and they have not missed.
3-1 delivery on the way, got Davis to go after 1 away. So another full count. That has been a problem for Kelly. Last year he averaged almost 18 pitches per inning. That was the highest in the majors for pitchers who had 25 or more starts. He had 25 last year, so he runs a lot of counts deep. 3-2 count on Davis. See if the runner goes. Rickert not moving, and got him at the knees on the outside corner, said Jim Reynolds, home plate umpire.
Take a look at this pitch here. It's a 3-2 changeup. See the changeup grip. Good action there, and I think Davis, recognizing the pitch, just laid off, thinking it was going to fade off the outer edge. Hugged that corner for the big second out.
So 2 down. Rickert still on at first, and here is Mark Trumbo making some noise. The 4 for 9 in this series. Trumbo, he's had 2 home runs. He too has driven in 5. So you take, close. Diving back in, Ramirez took that throw, perfectly placed, if you will, right into the body. And Rickert able to get back, and maybe John Farrell wants to look at this. They're holding up play. He says no. Kelly in his first start against Toronto, no decision, 7 runs, 7 hits, 3 innings. Gave up a grand slam in that one. He threw 80 pitches and only 44 strikes. Trumbo will take that one, and it is in there for a strike.
Well, Trumbo started the season with 9 straight singles, but 2 home runs in this series, working on a 5-game hit streak, and these homers, no doubters. Bullet to center field, and then the bomb over the monster right off the top of the Think Energy sign. Trumbo's getting that home run swing down now.
Trumbo leads the Orioles in hits. He's got 13. He is tied for first in the American League early in hits. Pitch on the way to him, and that one will be fouled back. He just missed on that one. Our Inside the Numbers brought to you by Jeep.
Well, fewest career at bats per home run at Fenway Park all time. big names on this list. Dave Kingman leading the way, but there's Trumbo, 9.80. He's had 49 at bats here at Fenway Park, 5 long balls. Robinson, Batista, Leo Gomez join Trumbo on that list.
0-2 count with 2 down. Rickards made no attempt to move as far as stealing a base is concerned over there at first. Kelly takes a long look. Trumbo's frozen. And a ground ball to the hole, and Ramirez has it. Call that the getting out of bed play. You just put one leg over and you fall, and the ball's there, and Ramirez makes the play. Leadoff walk. Red Sox. Let's take a look at the lineup here for game 3. It'll be Betts, Pedroia, and Bogaerts, Ortiz, Ramirez, and Shaw, Holt, Hannigan, Jackie Bradley Jr. Mookie Betts, his career here in this ballpark. Good place to call home.
Yeah, let's take a look at Ubaldo Jimenez's pitch arsenal this season. The fastball 50% of the time. He's starting to harness the command. Glimpses of it last year, a dominating first half, but his first start was outstanding. Great 2-seam fastball command, breaking ball, the slider. He has a curve as well, split finger changeup. His first start, very dominant. 1.29 earned run average, 7 innings of work, 9 punch outs. Opponent's hitting .286 overall.
Mookie Betts takes the pitch down low for a ball. Betts has had a big series for the Red Sox against the O's with a 5 for 10. 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored. 5 for 12 off Jimenez in his career. That'll catch the inside corner for a strike. For Ubaldo, his record against the Red Sox career 2-4, ERA of 7.3. Here at Fenway Park, he's 1-2 and an ERA of 5.9 in this ballpark. That one will get away from Caleb Joseph. You'll try and keep the hands warm tonight, and it won't be easy.
Yeah, wind blowing around there. Most teams playing in some tough weather conditions to start the season.
That one will be at the knees for a strike to Mookie Betts.
That's a good 2-seam action that Ubaldo has on the fastball. And the fact that he's learned how to really command that pitch, drive it to the bottom of the zone, could be another solid year for Jimenez.
That one to third, just out of the reach of Machado. The speedster Betts will make the big turn. Kim will get it in. So both teams first inning get the leadoff man on base. Maryland Live Casino inside the numbers.
The 9 or more strikeouts and no walks in the season debut since 1954. Slinging Sammy Stewart did it back in '78 against the White Sox. Moose Mike Bucina on that list with 11 Ks in '98. And how about Ubaldo? Back on the 7th of April, his first start of the year, 9 punch outs against the Twins. Everything working for Ubaldo.
Runner on at first base, Dustin Pedroia coming up. That's of course with outstanding speed. Pedroia with a 3 for 10 in the series. He's got a 6-game hit streak. 9 hits, 24 at-bats lifetime against Jimenez. He takes the pitch inside, as he so often does. The bat's on his shoulder on that first pitch. He doesn't even think about swinging, no matter what it is.
Yeah, he doesn't mind taking either. He's just one of these hitters that's going to fight through an at-bat, battle till the end. He'll use the whole field. You make a mistake, though, and he does have power.
Pitch will be taken down low for a ball. Pedroia trying to create a rally here for the Red Sox, who are trying to avoid the sweep. Last time the Orioles swept the series here, September of 2014. Betts back to the bag. Red Sox expected to do some running this season. They've stolen 4 out of 5 so far. Mookie Betts has a stolen base. Runners have gone against Ubaldo Jimenez. And there he goes. Wow, what a jump throw. There was no chance. Jimenez on first move. Betts took off, and he was there.
Yeah, Ubaldo, one of the slower starters. A lot of times they read that front shoulder. He starts to pull it towards third base. They take off a run, and here a tough pitch to handle as well. Breaking ball down in the dirt. Nice job by Caleb picking it clean, and Scope on the end, but Betts' speed and the slow delivery from Ubaldo get him in there safely.
Against Jimenez last year, base stealers were 22 out of 25 successful. They're 2 out of 3 this year. So Pedroia gets the RBI chance. Pitch will be taken for a strike. Red Sox have struggled so far getting runners in.
You can see Dustin's power zone here. He leaks that front side, so he's hunting that inner third. You see the power zone. The middle in. That's where he can do some damage.
Pedroia takes it up high. Red Sox in this series have gone 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position. They are hitting $190 on the year, which is 13th of the 15 teams in the American League. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Pedroia played pretty much straight up. Trumbo and Wright moves in a little bit, and a walk. So the first 2 on for the Red Sox.
Let's take a look at the Orioles defense behind Ubaldo Jimenez. A new look outfield once again. 3 games here at Fenway Park. 3 different outfields. Kim getting the start in left. Rickard back in center. Trumbo over in right. Hardy and Scope, the double play combination. Machado and Davis on the corners, and Caleb behind the plate. Take a look at J.J. Hardy flashing the leather. Great first step to snag this line drive, and the wherewithal to end it with a double play. Little flip over the head there to Chris Davis. Beautiful defense by the Orioles to start the season.
Pitch to Xander Bogaerts, will miss for a ball. Bogaerts has a 5-game hit streak, including the 2 for 8 in this series. He too is 5 for 12 off of Baldo, and whistles that one into the seats. So Jimenez working with runners at first and second, nobody out. Last year for the Oriole starter with runners in scoring position, 249 by the opposing teams, just about the average around the majors. Jimenez looking back at Betts at second base. Bogaerts will take it. That's going to be down low. 2-1.
Yeah, there are times I think Ubaldo gets caught up with the runners on base, trying to be a little bit too quick, and really can knock that delivery out of sync at times. Here, he's just got to get aggressive into the zone. Bogaerts a very dangerous hitter, but if he keeps that 2-seamer down.
Ground ball to third. Manny Machado gets a big hot tags. 1. No, didn't get him. The throw to third. Got him. How about that? There's a double play you're not going to see very often. Machado tried to put the tag on Betts and missed him. He got it down to second base to get the out to Jonathan Scope, and then they got the out at third on a tag.
This is just incredible instinctive baseball right here by Manny Machado. Giving it up to Scope to get that force, knowing that he didn't get the tag on Betts, but Hardy being in the right position to receive the throw from Scope. Great baseball right there, executing it perfectly. Big double play to help Ubaldo in this jam.
That is one of the most unusual double plays that you are ever going to see. Didn't involve the batter.
You know what? you can't sit around and watch the paint dry. That's for sure. You got to be someplace, and everybody on the infield in the right spots there.
That is amazing. I don't know I've ever seen one turn like that before. And the pitch is taken for a strike. I wonder, I got to check with the official scorer on that. I wonder if you give Bogaerts a fielder's choice. I guess he hit into a double play, but he's on base. Right. And the pitch will be taken away by David Ortiz. So Ballo a chance to get out of the inning again. His defense coming through with a very big play. Ortiz 2 for 19 with 1 home run off Jimenez. He's had 1 home run in this series, as you saw, with 4 RBIs, 4 for 9. 1-0 count, 2 down. And that one's going to be taken up high. Jimenez having to throw a few pitches here in the first inning of the ball game. Last season, 50-50 ground ball, fly ball outs for Ubaldo. Runner goes. Ortiz goes. Joseph throws. Stolen base.
Getting some good jumps on Ubaldo right now. Caleb trying to do everything he can, but another good jump right there. Quick glance back in. Not even close. Hardy actually giving up on that one as well. Just stepping up, making sure.
So now another runner in scoring position as Bogaerts picks up the stolen base. That'll be his first. 2 for 2 in the first inning, stealing bases for Boston. And Ortiz try and get a run in. 2 down. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Jimenez delivers. Just a little bit away, maybe a little low. Ortiz will take the count full 3-2. 2 grinded out ball games have been played here in the first 2. 9-7 last night, 5-3 the Red Sox 9-7 rather losing in that opener, and then 9-5 last night. Another walk. Ortiz on. 2 in the inning, 2 free passes.
It's all right. Be careful right there to David Ortiz. Have the open base. Try to get him to bite on off-speed pitch. Nice split finger in the bottom of the zone. Now you have a force at any base. Of course, you have to execute your pitches here.
Hanley Ramirez off to a real good start. You look at the numbers. Only 1 hit in this series. With runners in scoring position on the year for Ramirez, he has had a couple of hits in 9 at-bats. Good speed at second base in Bogaerts. And he will take the pitch on the outside corner for a strike. 3 for 14 lifetime against Jimenez for Hanley.
Ubaldo had some jams in his first start. Even though he came away no walks and the 9 punch outs, he had to work early on, especially in the ball game.
Runner going to third, stolen base, 3 for 3. Did not look back.
Yeah, you don't give him a look and you're going to get taken advantage of. Even if you're in scoring position, you kind of get into the head of the pitcher, you run with the 2 outs, and if you're guaranteed getting in there, you know, psyche gets busted a little bit, and you might take the split finger away standing on third base.
So Ramirez with a 2-0 count. Bogaerts at third, Ortiz at first. Jimenez delivers to him, and that's going to miss.
Well, Baldo's always had a very unique delivery. That arm stab in the back causes a little bit of length, and it's really hard to get the timing and stay consistent in repeating the delivery. And we've seen the inconsistencies the last couple of years, but when he locks into it, he can be dominant.
And a strike taken. So a 2-ball, 2-strike count on Ramirez. Again, early in the ball game, big situation. Red Sox able to get on the Ortiz home run, 2 runs for the early lead in the ball game last night. Ortiz on at first now, with Pedroia, with the Bogaerts rather at third. 2-2 delivery. Ramirez takes it. Off speed delivery that broke inside. Count goes 3-2. Ortiz will be running at first.
Although a lot of pitches thrown in this inning. Needs to get out of here on this one.
26, couple of innings worth is what he'd like that to be. 3-2 delivery on the way, and that's going to go down the line. Will it stay fair? It takes a bounce off the seats, foul. Just missed. It's not a lot of foul territory when you get down that right field line between the stands and the field. He'll come back.
Is he shooting for that pesky pole too?
Everybody wants it down there.
Yeah, Hardy made it look so easy yesterday. Man, you see how tight that line is right there on the wall.
3-2 count remains. You see it runs right up against the padding. The line does, right to the pesky pole. And J.J. Hardy knows all about that. The 2 home runs down that line in the ball game last night. He was interested. We were talking for the game. He wanted to know, where'd the name come from? How did it get to be the pesky pole? He asked. Delivery on the way up the middle. Jonathan Schoop up with it. He'll make the throw and gets the big out. Ramirez is retired. Red Sox go down. No runs on 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left after 1 scoreless. Pringle from Mount Airy, 500 for being selected, 500 more for every Orioles home run hit. You can play Home Run Riches, scratch offs and win up to $50,000 or enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball. Michael, good luck. And are you a friend of Aunt B? Scoreless as we go to the second inning. Oh gosh. Here's J.J. Hardy, and he will take the pitch for a strike. Hardy, Alvarez, and Jonathan Schoop will be due up. Oh, 1 pitch by Kelly in the air to center field. Hit hard, hit deep. Right back at the wall. Up and takes a bounce back towards right field. Hardy's thinking about 3, not thinking anymore. He's on his way. The relay throw is in time to get him. Tremendous relay throw made. Home plate umpire Jim Reynolds had to go down to cover.
JJ covers this baseball, hammered to straightaway center after sneaking a couple down the right field line. Deepest part of Fenway Park there. Nice backup by Betts. The throw offline, but the tag made by Shaw right on the shoulder of Hardy. Very close there at third base. You love Hardy's hustle. Trying to avoid making that first out.
Buck Showalter's asked for a delay here so he can check with his video crew, see whether or not they want to challenge this or not. That was a really close play at third base.
Boy, it really was.
Can't see the feet from that angle. was safe.
Yeah.
Home plate umpire's going over. Jim Reynolds saying, let's go. I want to know yes or no. Buck Showalter's asking, is looking as though there may be something wrong with the video setup. Now there, he looks out.
Different angles, tough to tell, and if we're up here not really seeing it clearly, a lot of times they will not overturn.
And no challenge. So the play will stand, and Hardy is retired. Real fine backup by Mookie Betts, the right fielder, and Bogaerts to Shaw to get the out. So a big defensive play as JJ tried to stretch that one out. Now Alvarez.
You can see JJ's frustration there behind Buck Showalter in the dugout. That first out at third base.
I hate doing that, but it took a perfect play to get it. That's a tough one. Yep.
Yeah, it really is.
Alvarez, designated hitter, playing in one of the 2 games, 1 for 4. JJ over there thinking about it. 0-1 delivery on the way. Will be taken down low for a ball. Well, we've seen 2 fine defensive plays, 1 by each team already in this ball game.
You know, Buck Showalter has a philosophy, in-house philosophy. If you feel it, go ahead and go for it. He's not going to hold anything against you about situations in games. The play was in front of Hardy. You know, so Buck's not going to hold that against JJ. He's going to say, hey, you had it in your gut. You felt like you could make it. You took off. You can't be in between in this game. If you're indecisive, it's going to bite you more times than not.
2-1 delivery to Alvarez. Chops that one away, foul. Pedro trying to get the bat going for the Orioles. Numbers against Kelly. He has had 19 at bats now with the double and a single. The Orioles want that left-handed bat in that lineup, even things out, and for it to be a presence for opposing pitchers to have to worry about.
Well, you saw that huge power zone that Alvarez has. Just a couple years ago, he led the National League in home runs. The power's there, maybe pressing, try to impress, you know, Oriole fans here the first week of the season, but this young man can hit.
And he's on with a walk. So the Orioles with 1 away will pick up their 2nd walk of the ball game. Time is running out. Your chance to earn exclusive orange carpet benefits. Become a full or partial season plan member. You get a lot of savings over the cost of single game tickets and the most flexible exchange policy in baseball. You get access to postseason tickets as well. Find out more at Orioles.com/season. Jonathan Schoop, 1 for 7 in the series and an 0 for 8 lifetime against Joe Kelly. And almost got away. Wow, what a snag made by Hannigan that time. He almost caught that behind him.
Man, oh man. Yeah, we've seen a couple high fastballs get away in this series. Hannigan full extension to bring it back into the playing field. Wow.
1-0 count. Short lead at first base. Swing and a miss. We did check, wanted to make sure on that scoring on that double play, the 5-4-6 double play that Bogaerts hit into. If you're scoring, you do put a fielder's choice for Bogaerts and then just rack up the double play for the base runners. You may not ever see that again. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Up high, Schoop going after it and missing it. 1-2.
Tough to get on this fastball. A lot of life up through the zone. Take a look at the Mercedes pitch track climbing up and out of the box there. Don't try to help Kelly out. Stay within yourself in your own strike zone.
4 doubles for Jonathan, leads the Orioles in that department. Also a home run. 1-2 delivery on the way, and Schoop will go after one again up high. 2 Ks for Kelly.
Oh, that just got on Jonathan Schoop. 94 right there, and it's by him. Trying to pull the trigger, do something to make contact. He missed it by a good 2-3 inches of the extra life riding through the top.
Here is Caleb Joseph now, 2 down. Alvarez remains on at first base. Caleb's had the 1 for 3 in the series. Buck likes to get him in here at Fenway. This has been a good ballpark over the years. He's hit .278 with a couple of home runs here in Boston. 1-0 count.
Kelly's velocity starting to climb back up into the mid-90s. Started a little slow with the velo, maybe just trying to throw some strikes with the fastball, cutting it loose here consistently. 94, 95.
Alvarez, a couple of steps off first base. Here's the 1-0 delivery by Kelly. Ground ball down to third. That will be foul. So Caleb Joseph 1-1. How many games will Matt Wieters catch back-to-back this season? Still is a question. And tough to get Matt's bat in the lineup if he's not catching when you've got Alvarez. You're going to have to, Buck Showalter will have to maneuver things around a little bit depending on how much Wieters is behind the plate. 1-1. Kelly's delivery is a breaking ball down and away at 86. Good movement on that one, and a 1-2 count on Caleb.
Yeah, Kelly's secondary pitches at times you wonder, wow, how can this guy not win 20 games every year? His stuff flashes, just incredible late movement, hard slider there, but he's just had so many inconsistencies as a starter with his secondary pitches that, yeah, just lack of efficiency, falls behind.
Bounces that one. Hannigan again with a good stop. Last year Kelly threw that sinker 57% of the time, so there wasn't a lot of room for other pitchers. The slider was 14%, changeup 11. He will work in a curveball. The four seam he didn't throw very much at all last year. 2-ball 2-strike count. Alvarez not going. Pitch will be taken away.
It's a nice take right there by Caleb Joseph. Real good slider. Threw it hard. He's working off that outside corner. Caleb didn't flinch. Must have seen the spin real soon.
Kim hoping for an at bat. Kelly also throwing a lot of pitches. 3-2 runner goes and a chopper down to third. That's going to be a tough play. Barehanded Shaw and didn't get him off the bag. Manny Gonzalez, the first base umpire. Farrell is on his way out, saying that Ramirez was drawn off the bag by the throw.
A little chopper down here. Beautiful play by Shaw with the bare hand. Ramirez with the stretch, but call is he pulled his foot reaching out. Caleb hustling all the way down. Like his foot slid off. Very tough play for a first baseman, controlling that anchor foot.
Farrell came out to see if Ramirez was okay and then has asked his video people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there was a right call. Good call by Manny Gonzalez, who was perfectly positioned to make the call. So Caleb Joseph picks up an infield single. Alvarez goes down to second. 2 on and 2 out here in the second inning.
You saw how Ramirez's body got out over that front foot, allowing the back foot to pull off the base a little bit. Chris Davis has been so solid anchoring that plant foot. Still the ability to stretch out there and actually push off the front foot to hold his ground.
So Young Soo Kim getting the start in left field in this ball game. Obviously limited chances so far. Travis Shaw at third will not be happy. I was talking with him before the game today, and he was telling me one of the things he takes most pride in is an accurate arm. He said his dad worked with him when he was growing up as a kid to throw into the glove all the time, and he says that's something I really try and do as a third baseman. But that was a tough play.
Oh, sure.
So the Orioles will try and take advantage of it.
I think his dad will forgive him on that bare hand attempt there.
Kim will take the pitch. And it is in there for a strike. Buck Showalter saying before the game today he wants to get Kim into more ball games, somehow find a way to get him some more at bats. He said he needs to play. We're not going to let him sit around too long. Wants him to get in, get a feel for the game, the ballparks, the ball club. 0-1 pitch on the way. Kim will take that. Strike called at the letters. He didn't think so, and the count goes to 0-2.
Boy, that did not look like a good call for the second strike on Kim. Kind of caught him off guard as well. Hannigan wanting the high target. Hits a spot, but how about Kim? What? No way. Behind, got a battle.
2 on, 0-2 count. Kelly's delivery to him. Kim will take that one, and it will be outside.
Yeah, Buck wants to get Kim playing time, but he also wants to find out how is he going to be able to use him to benefit the team. If he's not going to be a starting outfielder, you have to find spots that he's going to be useful. Buck can put him in situations that will help his confidence grow.
1-2. Kim will lash that one foul. Kim has been obviously a major story for the Orioles. Not wanting to go down to the minors. 2-year deal, 28 years old, 10 seasons playing in the Korean Baseball League, South Korea. Last year, career highs in just about everything there. 28 home runs, 121 RBIs, lifetime .318 batting average. Now trying to see how that plays out in the majors. Kelly is just having very long innings here. The number of pitches, we're only in the second. Delivery on the way to Kim, takes it. He was concerned. He didn't want to look back at the home plate umpire because you can see the head jerk on that. No, not a strike. And it wasn't.
Well, he feels like he's got to protect that pitch right now. Hannigan's gone up there a couple times since that called strike.
Walked Alvarez. He's on at second. Joseph the base hit on at first. Kelly with a 2-2. And Kim will take it. Pick off a play at second base, bounces away, not far enough. That went off Bogarts, and Pedroia picked it up. Hannigan with the throw.
And coming out of the chute aggressive. Take a look at Pedro Alvarez getting out there, actually anticipating a swing. Hannigan wisely trying to backpick there. Good backup by the Red Sox infield.
That one hurt Bogarts a little bit. Cold night like this caught him around the shin, I think. He kind of was like, oh. 3-2, 2 down. Runners go. Kim looking to give the Orioles a lead here. 3-2 delivery to him. Great eye. So it started out as an at-bat where he was struggling. That one took a bounce, and he is on, and the Orioles have loaded him up.
Yeah, that is a quality AB from Kim. Not in any kind of rush. Actually got a bad call that he had to deal with and kept his composure throughout that AB. Could prove to be a huge one.
Carl Willis, pitching coach, obviously concerned here at the way this ball game has started for Joe Kelly. Sure, baseball fans heard, but we've not mentioned it here. Pablo Sandoval, the continuing problem for the Red Sox on what to do with a $17 million man who's not playing. They put him on the DL. He went on the DL today, left shoulder strain. They brought up infielder Josh Rutledge, who came up from AAA. Sandoval had appeared in 3 games this year. Rutledge had appeared in 5 at Pawtucket. He's one of those MVP, most versatile players, third base, second base. They can move him around, so Rutledge is here and Sandoval's on the DL. With Red Sox fans going, now what? 2 down, bases loaded.
They like Buck Showalter need a little more versatility on the bench.
Rickard goes after it down to third. It'll be a foul ball. Well, let's see what the Orioles can do with it. They left 1 on in the first inning after a leadoff walk that Rickard got. Oh, another chance at it right here. Alvarez a walk at third. Joseph single second. Kim walk at first base.
Numbers with runners in scoring position for Rickard, really doing it all. Battling through at bats, clutch hits. I'd like one here.
0-1 delivery to him. Rickard goes to the middle. Bogarts force at second. That's where they go to get it. Pedroia there to take it. So the Orioles cannot get it done. They will pick up a couple of hits and leave the bases loaded. Or when guys are on base, Mike.
Yeah, trying to speed up a little bit. They're off and running right now. Mookie Betts getting the first stolen base off Ubaldo. And another big jump right here. Bogarts sliding in safely. And how about taking third as well, uncontested on that stolen base. Ubaldo's certainly aware of it. Caleb Joseph aware of it. You know, they're going to get better jumps because he's a little slower, but there might be something that they're picking up that will allow them to get better jumps off Ubaldo. Might be the front shoulder just kind of leaning in before he starts his delivery.
Travis Shaw, third baseman, takes it away for a ball. Shaw on 0 for 4 against Jimenez, and the only times he's faced him. Holt and then Hannigan will be due up. Shifted on the Oriole infield. And the pitch is inside for a ball. Jimenez handled the left-handers last year to a very fine .227 average. Right-handers had much better luck against him. And the pitch is in there for a strike.
Well, a couple different weapons against the lefties. That two-seam fastball that he can start right at the front hip, and it works back over the inside corner in the split finger, of course.
That one will go the other way and into the seats for the souvenir. Jimenez, 32 years old. Last year, teams .257 against him. Right-handers with a .290 average and .227 for lefties. 3-ball, 2-strike count. We've had a few of those already. Full count delivery will be fouled off again. One gets the feeling the bullpens are going to get a lot of work in this game.
Yeah, and both teams really need their starters to start getting deep into ball games. Almost identical the amount of innings pitched with the Orioles and the Red Sox, their starters and bullpens. The Red Sox starters might have a couple more innings on the starters. Around 35. I think Orioles up around 33.
Got him. So Shaw will go down after fouling off 3. He's called out for a strikeout for Jimenez.
Oh, another full count. He's consistently working away, but there is the two-seamer. Starts it off right at him, and look at it work back. He's all geared up for the outer third. Great pitch and a great call by Joseph.
The Orioles starters have had 5 innings or fewer now in the last 4 consecutive games, and 5 innings or fewer in 6 of the 7. That's what Mike was talking about with the load that's been put on the bullpen and why both these ball clubs trying to get starters deeper into the games. Here is Brock Holt. 1 for 7 off Jimenez. Breaking ball is taken outside. He's had an 0 for 4 in the series, but he's been on base with the free passes a few times. 1 ball, 1 strikeout. And Holt will take that one inside. Jimenez is working on 5 days rest. He did that last year in 10 starts and went 4-1 when he had 5 days rest. The ERA though was up 5.07 and opponents hit .272 against him in those ball games. Buck Showalter, Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, did a lot of that last year, trying to give their starters an extra day. That is there at the knees. Got him. Another one. 2 called strike 3s.
Wow. Great pitch there. Another 2-seamer starting inside, but really set it up with the second strike down and away. Quality fastball, 92 miles an hour. Great movement. Perfect location. The height right across the knees.
2 down on strikeouts. Here's Ryan Hanigan. Veteran, 35 years old, 7 years of major league service. Actually born in Washington, D.C. and now lives in Andover here in Massachusetts. Hanigan getting the start behind the plate last year. He had 54 games with the Red Sox, hit .247. That one up the middle, and he's got a base hit. So Hanigan is on with 2 down for Bradley in the number 9 spot. PNC Bank, MASNsports.com blog recap for our boy Cabago. The Orioles have extended Brian Madison's rehab assignment. Won't be back on Sunday. Adam Jones, I am getting a lot better day by day. Dave Molesky saying Dan Duquette provides backstories on the acquisition of their young leadoff hitter Rickard. All for you. Brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Yeah, something out on the field they were getting off. Adam Jones did take batting practice today early. First time he's actually hit in a while. Said he felt good, and the chance is he will start tomorrow in Texas. That's what it looks like. Yeah, Showalter just did not want to start him in this cold weather.
He was really encouraged today, getting out there, taking some BP. Saw him throwing in the outfield. Said he's good to go. Just a little too cold tonight to take a chance. Get down in the warm climate and let that loosen up, and Adam Jones will be back in there. He's hungry to get back in this lineup as well. Orioles playing some really good baseball, and I was talking to him a little bit this afternoon about that, and he goes, well, they're doing fine without me, and I was like, come on, Adam. They need you out there. It's obviously a deeper team. He's a perennial all-star. You know, so much of what you're seeing today from the Orioles really stems from him, what he's done over the past 5 or 6 seasons with the O's. He's the guy that Buck Showalter targeted about making sure he played the game hard and played it right, and his teammates would follow suit. Well, they have, and so much of what Chris Davis does, what Machado, Scope have learned, has all come from Adam Jones.
Jackie Bradley Jr. into the glove of Chris Davis. First base umpire says he caught it on the fly, and coming off the bag with the runner there in perfect position to handle that. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base, no score. you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in our ball game tonight, brought to you by Miller Lite. For Buck Showalter, with his ball club off to the 7-0 start, this is the longest win streak at any point of the season that Buck has had since coming to the Orioles, and it's the longest winning streak since a 9-game run when he was managing Texas back in 2005. As the Orioles look to go 8-0. We are scoreless. Third inning, Manny Machado, Davis, and Trumbo. Flied out to center field, his first time up against Joe Kelly. And the right-hander's fastball is going to be in there for a strike.
Well, knowing Buck Showalter, yeah, incredible start, historic start here for the Orioles, but you know, he's looking at things throughout a ball game that they can get better at.
Down the line, that should stay fair. It's off the wall, fair ball, handled by Holt. Throw will come into second base. Machado diving and gets in. Pedroia had to come in towards the infield to put the tag on. Machado went out, and he's got himself a double.
Great slide there for Manny Machado, and he whistles this ball down the left field line. Now that's an inside fastball he turned on, and then just recognizing the ball in front of him, goes to that backside of the base, just getting in there safely, avoiding the tag from Pedroia. But the hitting, my goodness, pulling the hands in tight. The ability to keep that ball fair is a very unique trait. I mean, you have to do so many things right to do what Manny just did. Second double this season.
Orioles with the leadoff man on. All 3 innings, really. Hardy got thrown out trying to extend his long ball into a triple. Now the Orioles get a chance to score again. And that will be taken down low. Take a look at our AL leaders, brought to you by Coons.com. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting.
Yeah, how about this stat? Highest batting average, runners in scoring position. Yankees leading the way, but they're the Orioles 309, capitalizing on these opportunities with runners in scoring position. They were really good last year. They just didn't have as many opportunities. The goal this year, draw more walks, get on base, and capitalize.
Davis will take it inside for a ball. Orioles in the first 2 games of this series, 6 for 21 with runners in scoring position, and Chris Davis with the opportunity right here. Chris has already gone 3 for 10 with a home run in these situations this year. Machado at second, being held by the shortstop Bogarts with a shift on. Pitch to Chris, that's going to miss down low, and the Orioles getting ahead on these counts. 3-0. You got Trumbo waiting on deck, first base open here. Machado keeping an eye on Bogarts. He's right on top of him. Let's see if Joe Kelly will throw a strike to Chris Davis. Davis with a 4 for 8 off him, struck out first time up. He does, and it goes in the air to left field. Holt looking up at the green monster. Goodbye home run the other way. Chris Davis delivers the 2 RBI homer for the Orioles, his 4th of the year. RBIs 8 and 9.
Wow, that is all about staying within yourself. You're watching Kelly trying to avoid Chris Davis. A lot of pitchers have been working the perimeter, hoping Davis will expand the zone. Works it to 3-0, and he had one thing on his mind: letting the ball travel. Probably if he throws a strike, it'll be on the outside corner. He let it travel and pulled the hands in. Huge pop the other way there.
And the Orioles get on the board with a 2-0 lead. Michael Pringle, our Maryland lottery contestant, that's worth $500 for you. Swing and a foul ball, Trumbo.
So it's about staying within yourself here. 3-0 counter. You're going to try to do too much? Heck no. Pull the hands in, find the barrel, and good things will happen. Just getting over the green monster there. O's on the board.
So Davis continues with that home run swing here at Fenway Park. And the Orioles happy about that. Pitch on the way to Trumbo is outside for a ball. Chris now has 7 home runs here at Fenway. A total of 17 home runs against the Red Sox in his career. As Kelly gets touched up for the long ball. Base is empty now. Still Nobody out. Trumbo, a towering pop up to third. Shaw will camp under it and put it away. One down. Our PNC inside the numbers.
The highest earned run average by starters this season, and the Boston Red Sox leading the way. That's 7.32, and they have some big arms they've been depending on. Price not off to the hot start that they were hoping for. Of course, Porcello in this rotation, and he's been disappointing the last couple seasons. They're hoping he can step up. Buchholz has had his inconsistencies. They need him to stay healthy, and Kelly as well.
Fastball is going to be in for a strike. J.J. Hardy got a 2-bagger and tried to make it 3 and got thrown out on a very fine play. Betts to Bogarts to Shaw, took him out at third base. Set up away, a chopper. Another tough play for Shaw if it's fair, and it isn't. Among the offensive numbers for the Orioles now, they lead in home runs. That was the 14th they have put up as a team. They came in tied for first in runs in the American League. They were coming into the game 5th in hits. They've got the best slugging percentage in the American League and the best on base percentage in the American League starting today's play. They were down the list 12th last year in on base percentage, and we talked so much in spring training about that, wanting to get that number up.
Yeah.
They have so far. Long way to go. But better to start this way than at the bottom. There's a chopper hit right in front of home plate, cut off by Shaw, and he'll make the throw. 2 down. Well, the Birds are going to return to Oriole Park next Tuesday. 3-game series against the division champion Blue Jays. Each game midweek series at 7:05. So don't miss a great early season showdown. Get your tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. The Blue Jays coming to town. The Orioles are up 2.5 over the Yankees right now. The Blue Jays are in last, 3-5. 4.5 games behind the Orioles. Pedro Alvarez drew a walk his first time up. Orioles 2 runs in here in the 3rd inning. The home run, Chris Davis. First for him off Kelly. 1-0 deliveries way outside. Last 2 ball games, the Orioles have had 9 or more runs back-to-back games. First time they've done that against the Red Sox in a single series since 1980. Wow, that's a while. 2-0 delivery on the way. Strike called. You weren't even born then. Neither was I. 1980.
Well, I don't really remember the 80s, but
okay.
Who wants to?
We'll
right?
go with the unborn on that.
Okay.
2-1 delivery. Big swing. In fact, on the other side of it, I saw it's the first time in franchise history for the Red Sox they've allowed 9 or more runs in each of the first 2 home games of a season. Never happened to them before, and the Orioles have done it to them in the first 2 here this year. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Full shift on against Alvarez. Just missed outside.
Take a look at Joe Kelly's what he's featuring against lefties here. The fastball 48% of the time. Loving the changeup, trying to get it down and away to them, mixing in the breaking ball. And how about the righties? Way more fastballs, the slider and curve starting to come into play, but still inconsistencies throwing for strikes with those secondary pitches.
Hard hit ball towards the gap in right center field. Alvarez is on. Played by Mookie Betts back in, so Alvarez has been on twice, a walk and a single. This one comes with 2 down.
Nothing better than a 2-out hit. Keep it going a little bit.
Orioles have made a lot of hay on 2-out rallies so far this year. I think J.J. Hardy yesterday, both of the home runs he hit came with 2 down. That's 4 RBIs that he picked up in 2-out situations, and that was just Hardy. Here's Jonathan Scope, a strikeout victim his first time up, looking for his first hit off Kelly. He's 0 for 9 lifetime against him. And that will be in the outside corner for a strike. Kelly already up to 65 pitches thrown. So he's even above that record-setting pace for starters that he had last year. Scope waiting on it, tails away. 1 ball, 1 strike count.
I was listening to Buck Showalter in his pregame press conference talking about pitchers should stand in against themselves and see how nasty their stuff is. Where they start messing around, falling behind hitters. And Kelly's one of these examples. You see his fastball 95, 96 miles an hour. Nice movement on that pitch. You know, he can rush it up there to 98, 99 at times when he's feeling good. Why not get ahead with that pitch? Be able to locate it well and challenge hitters. You know, you can move it around the zone. Just because it's a fastball doesn't mean it can't be effective moving it in and out and up and down.
And you would think he'd gain a little bit of confidence out of the fact that he has not lost a ball game in the last 11 starts that he's made. I mean, you'd think that would make him a believer in himself going back to last season. And you know, that's got to frustrate the pitching coach. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Carl Willis over there looking on, and a swing and a miss up again. That's where he went after Scope the first time and gets him again there. 3 strikeouts for Kelly, but the Orioles pick up 2 runs, 3 hits. The big blow. Who else? Chris Davis delivers it, and the Orioles have a 2-0 lead. Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. With Mike Bordick, I'm Gary Thor. Great to have you with us. The Orioles have the 2-0 lead. 2-5-0 for the Orioles. 0-2-0. Red Sox, Chris Davis delivering the long ball for the O's.
Dangerous lineup the Orioles featuring this year all the way through.
And the pitch will be taken down low for a ball. Jimenez staked to the lead. Bottom of the 3rd inning, and the top of the order, Mookie Betts. Base hit, stolen base his first time up. Taken down low. Red Sox hitters, couple of them. Betts, Pedroia, Bradley coming to the plate looking as though they have no intention of swinging until they get a strike or a hit in the count. And he stands there and takes all 3 of the pitches delivered on a 2-ball, 1 strike count.
Oh, I think you really have to do that now that you're falling behind and their starting pitcher pitch counts up.
That ball is short, and it's going to be in. So Betts will pick up the base hit. Takes a big wide turn. Good throw in by Kim. And Betts is on with a single. You're taking a look at some of the special event uniforms that all teams will have for the Major League Baseball season. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and the All-Star game. And those jerseys, the royalties from them will be given to charitable events. The Mother's Day Susan Komen charity fighting cancer, prostate cancer fight on Father's Day, Mother and Father's Day, Stand Up to Cancer. The Welcome Back veterans will receive from Memorial and Independence Day. So take a look at those uniforms during the seasons, and you'll have a chance to bid on them. Jimenez now with a runner on at first base. Betts Pedroia. He drew a walk his first time up. Already 3 for 3 in stolen bases in the ball game for the Red Sox, and the pitch taken down low for a ball. 3 hits for Boston, 5 for the O's.
And that taking philosophy will definitely be different with runners on base. Get their own spot.
Pedroia got one, fouls it off.
Now take a look at Ubaldo here. Now this is what the runner is looking at. They're trying to pick up. Is it the front foot they're keying on? Is it the front shoulder they're keying on? Most generally, base stealers look at the whole picture and try to get a good jump. But if a pitcher has a tell, if he leaks somewhere and they can get a better jump, they will get it. And Betts got a huge jump in the first inning, along with Bogarts as well.
So Jimenez keeping an eye on him over there at first base. A 1-ball. 1 strikeout to Dustin Pedroia, hitting at .303 on the year. That walk he picked up in the first inning continues that streak. 45 consecutive games that he's been on base against American League East teams. That's a long one. He's closing in on 1,500 hits. Needs 8 more to get there. And that's going to be one of them. No. Throw. No. J.J. Hardy, great stop, but just could not get a handle on it, and knew with Betts running he had no time. Everybody's safe.
Yeah, this is what speed does. Great diving play by Hardy. As soon as he gloves it, though, he knows he's got to get it in and out of the glove. One-time chance, can't get the handle there. Betts sliding in safely. Nice stop by Hardy. A couple great defensive plays here in this series.
So the Red Sox, another 2 on base. They had the first 2 on in the first inning, got nothing. First 2 on here in the third. Bogarts up. Bogarts hit into that crazy double play for which he was credited with a fielder's choice on a 5-4-6 double play. You will look back with Jonathan Scope trying to hold the runner, and you see how much this plays into the game for Jimenez.
Oh yeah, Merrill gets into his head. He tries everything he possibly can to disrupt the rhythm and timing out there. But base stealers are just going to steal. Bottom line, if you're slow to home, they're going to be off and running.
Pitch is taken for a strike by Bogarts with Ortiz waiting on deck. So the Red Sox with the middle of that order up with runners on, looking for their first hit tonight in this situation with the 0 for 2 down to third. Fair ball. It'll roll into the corner. Betts will score. Pedroia is going to be waved home. Brian Butterfield will bring him in. It'll be a double and 2 RBIs. 2-2.
Not easy to get one by Manny Machado. Bogarts does right there. Ball gets on the dirt. It gets a little bit quicker, and it shoots by Machado just underneath the diving attempt. I think it caught that lip and stayed low. Didn't bounce up for him, and then it just hugs the line. Gets tangled up down in the corner. A monster and a close wall. 2 runs able to score on the 4th double for Bogarts.
Brian Butterfield, the third base coach. I don't know if we can see him here. He was on the field for the second runner. Watch this.
Yeah, he gets inside. Look. And the runner, yeah, he's got to see the ball.
How about that?
Yeah, he tries to see the baseball down there, get a good look. Kim picked it up clean, might have held Pedroia.
So a runner on at second base, and David Ortiz up. I don't think I've ever seen a third base coach in fair territory like that. But as you say, he's trying to see the ball in the corner. Ortiz walked his first time up, and the pitch taken away for a ball. Now the Red Sox finally come up with a big hit here in this third inning. Bogart's 4 RBIs on the year. Ortiz takes the pitch inside, and quickly a 3-0 count. Ramirez waiting on deck.
They've been able to kind of control Ramirez here in this series, but I wouldn't take too many chances.
Ortiz takes it, drops the bat, 4 pitches and a walk. And for Jimenez, third walk, he surrendered. The day after the Orioles win and score 5 or more runs, get 50% off regular menu price online orders at papajohns.com with promo code Orioles5. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. 2 on, still nobody out here in the third. Ramirez grounded out his first time up. Scope trying to hold the runner as close as he can at second. Shoo, there goes the bat all the way down the line at third, getting C.B. Buckner out of the way as it went by him, the third base umpire.
We've seen some pretty good bat tosses in this series. A lot of times the pine tar or the moto stick, you just don't get that good grip, and Ramirez letting one fly, going for the record, gets on the grass. It's in fair territory.
It was a line drive throw.
Yeah.
It didn't have a lot of arc, but it stayed off the ground, and it stayed away from C.B. Buckner. 0-1 count. Fouls one off the other way, off the facade. So Ramirez, a 2-strike count. The .321 lifetime hitter against the Orioles with 6 career home runs, and certainly looks as though will be a major and vital part of this offense for Boston this year.
Yeah, really the X factor, I think, for the Red Sox, how he does it first.
That ball to the middle, Hardy, he's got a chance for 2, and they get it. Outstanding play, J.J. Hardy. The line drive not hit all that hard, but he had to make the flip backhand to get it to Jonathan Scope.
Yeah, it's all about court awareness. We've seen the infield today already make some heady plays. How about Hardy? The no-look feed from underneath there to Jonathan Scope. Great play, flagging down the soft line drive. Bogarts, I don't know what he's thinking about right there. He just kind of freezes and watches the play. And JJ recognizing that, little shovel pass to Scope for another unique double play.
Good D. That leaves Ortiz on at first base, but there are now 2 down. Where these double plays the Orioles have turned, and 2 of them in 3 innings have been really important. Travis Shaw, a strikeout victim his first time up. 1 hit, 5 at bats in the 3 games, and Shaw will take that one down low. So 2 down. Ball game tied at 2 on the Bogarts double, and Jimenez trying to shut it down right here. What looked like might be a potentially big inning right now. Chance to get out of it with just the 2 runs. Breaks that one in for a strike, and a 2-ball 1-strike count on Shaw.
And this Orioles defense can really take the wind out of an opposing team's sails. The way they flash the leather on the infield and the outfield, pretty special to watch.
Foul back. There'll be no play on that one. 2 balls and 2 strikes. J.J. Hardy really having a very strong series with the glove and the bat here at Fenway in this first meeting between these 2 ball clubs. Set up outside, 2-2 delivery on the way. That's where it was. It'll be fouled away again.
Well, JJ does the things that managers, dream of. What they want their shortstop, major league player to be is JJ Hardy. Make all the plays, be in the right position every time. There have been some unique plays here we've seen in this series, and JJ's been right there.
That'll go to the only player over there. Manny Machado will go to Hardy, and that'll get the force out. So a couple of runs in on 3 hits, 1 left on base. Ball game tied at 2. Orioles baseball is brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid, all-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com. City of Boston getting ready for the marathon, which is run next Monday. Red Sox will play their usual 11 o'clock game. Orioles have been a part of that recently a couple of times on Marathon Day. They were setting up all the race tents downtown. Caleb Joseph, base hit his first time up. Joe Kelly has walked 3, struck out 3. Jimenez has walked 3, struck out 2. Each team has 2 runs on 5 hits. Orioles trying to sweep the Red Sox. First time since 2014 here in Boston. Orioles have now won 6 consecutive games against Boston going back to last year, and 5 of those have been here at Fenway.
Yeah, they've played the Red Sox so tough over the last 4 or 5 seasons. Incredible winning percentage. Really had their number. It was that one year they knocked them out of the playoffs. And they've been confident ever since. Really playing better baseball.
But Joe Walder obviously not wanting to talk about the start they're having. Not because he isn't happy and proud of them, just superstition. You just don't talk about it, and you just keep playing.
And you know, like I talked about earlier, he's probably more nitpicky right now.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't we do that? Why didn't we do that? You know, just to keep everybody on their toes and not get caught up in you know, the record. This game can humble you in a hurry.
Caleb Joseph waiting on it. Swing and a miss on the pitch inside. And the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. In the last 25 years, the only team to start 8-0, which is what the Orioles are trying to do tonight, is the 2003 Kansas City Royals. They went 9-0 to start the year. That's over the last 25 seasons. Down low, Hannigan boxing that one, and the count goes full again. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Orioles are now the 28th team since 1903 to start 7-0. 28 teams since 1903. 3-2 pitch on the way, and a foul ball off Hannigan again. Of those ball clubs that did that, 5 went on to win the World Series, and that includes last year's Kansas City Royals. 3 ball, 2 strike count. There you see the standings on the board. And Boston, Tampa Bay, and Toronto all below 500 early. Yankees with that 4-2 mark.
The Yankees putting a lot of runs on the board in their early going as well.
And a swing and a miss gets him. 4 strikeouts for Kelly.
Well, Kelly's best stuff, I think, right here against Caleb Joseph. Some quality pitches, finishing him off with a 2-seamer riding down and in. And Joseph swinging over the top.
Young-Soo Kim getting the start in left field. 1 down, nobody on. Kim drew a walk. First time up. Batting 9th in the lineup. Pitch will be taken away for a ball. Play straight up on Kim. Teams don't have the book yet. The number of games not played. 1-0 delivery, and that'll be their first strike from Kelly.
When we saw him in spring training, a lot of times shooting the ball to left field. It wasn't until the end of spring he started getting the bat out in front, pulling a few more pitches.
That one's going to be a little bit low. Orioles will be off to Texas after this ball game. 4-game stand coming up in Arlington tomorrow night. Chris Tillman, Cole Hamels scheduled starters. 7:30 O's extra on Masson 2. 8:05 for the ball game. 2-1 delivery on the way, and that will miss up high. Texas getting a night off. They played today. Seattle beat them by a score of 4-2. 3 ball, 1 strike count. Kim looking for another free pass here to get on, and he's going to get it. 1 out, 1 on. Rickert coming up.
And check this out. Me and Joey Rickert a little earlier today. We went exploring, went into the Green Monster, opened the door, and how about that?
Everybody
signs. How about that? That was fun. Joey said that he actually had been there before, but didn't really remember much about it. Went in with a team a couple years ago, and it was nice getting in there. Thousands of autographs.
Oh, you can imagine. It'd be fun to have time just to go in and just look at all the autographs that are in there.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of players have used that as a refreshment stand during games.
Right, Manny Ramirez. Yeah, everybody's like, where's Manny to come out of the Green Monster?
1-0 delivery. That's in the air to right field. Betts was in, so he makes the catch. Thought about going to first, but Kim is back. So Rickert is retired. 2 down. Raymond remains on at first base. Our Express Care stat of the day.
Yeah, we've been talking about Joe Kelly and his consecutive starts without a loss. Jake Arrieta is leading the way in active streaks with 15. Cole Hamels in Texas with 12, and there's Kelly with 11 starts. You know, he had a streak going 8 consecutive starts where he whipped off the 8 wins.
Our Express Care LifeBridge Health partner. For locations, visit whywaitintheer.com. Manny Machado, Kim on at first base, double scored in the 3rd inning, flied out in the 1st. Kelly's pitch to him is away. Orioles got the lead in the 3rd inning on the Chris Davis home run. Bottom half of the 3rd inning, 2 RBI double by Bogaerts tied the ball game up. 1-0 count. So the Orioles are going to face 2 of those consecutive game winners consecutively as they face Kelly here in this game, and then they're going to get Cole Hamels in the ball game tomorrow night in Texas. For the Orioles, it's going to seem like they're visiting the tropics going to Texas after this opening at home and here in Boston, where it has been cold.
Yeah, it's been tough first week. They've handled it very well, though.
Yeah,
man.
1 ball, 1 strike count on Manny Machado. Lays delivery to him, and that's going to be way up high. 86 pitches. Amazing number.
Yeah, and they haven't been easy innings, you know. Second and third. Orioles offense really making a starter work.
That ball will take a big hop at short. Bogart's going to go to second base. Didn't get him. Long throw and good hustle as Kim gets there ahead of the toss by Bogart, and the inning will go on.
Yeah, those type of things right there. The detail in a ball game. Hustling it out. Nice job by Kim. Beating the feed from Bogarts. Could be a huge play in this ball game.
Not only got there, but made the call.
Yeah.
On the way up.
Couple good at bats. Nice base running there.
So Kelly in a jam again. 2 down, but 2 on. And again, he gets Chris Davis. Chris with a home run in the 3rd inning. 2 RBIs, 4th of the year. Called out on strikes in his first at bat. 9 runs batted in now for Chris. And 7 of those have come in this series. Shift employed. And inside corner strike on Davis.
See Davis's home runs by direction. 1 to left, 3 straight away center field. Not getting in pull mode just yet. That's a good sign if you ask me. He's fighting to keep that front side closed. Start leaking a little bit, getting in bad habits. Chris Davis staying very consistent with his approach right now.
Joe Kelly, the 0-1 count, looking back, holding the runner close at second. Big home run cut right there that he does not connect on. And Kelly will get ahead of him, 2 strikes.
Davis' power zone here from his home run. Down in the zone. He loves it. He just drops the head there.
Oh, 2, 2 away, 2 on. Davis into the shift. Pedroia's got it and will record the out. So no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 2 are left on, and inside the green monster went Micah Joey. A day to remember. Senior circuit page, the Padres shut out 4 times, first 8 games. Only the 5th team that's ever happened to in the first time since the Mets in '63. In the Giants' first 8 games, exactly backwards to what we keep talking about. The team scoring first has lost in those 8 ball games. That's the longest such stretch since 1977 involving the A's. And the Braves, bad start, 0-7, and since July of last year they're 25-60. Freddie Gonzalez in Atlanta, already the talk about will there be a managerial change.
Well, I think when teams go through these changes and you know, kind of present a youth movement. A lot of times there is patience with the manager.
He's a good one, but somebody always pays a price.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. Here is Brock Holt. Holt, strikeout victim, his first time up. I would think Holt very tough to pitch to. He gets down in that stance, is really leaning over, so that strike zone gets real small.
Yeah, he has a small strike zone, and he's a patient hitter. He's all over the dish. Hands kind of over the inner third. And he's not afraid to take, and he's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. He is a dangerous offensive player, and he does have pop.
3-1 delivery to him as a strike in the outside corner. So Jimenez comes back on him. Couple of strikeouts, 3 walks to the Orioles starter, who is up to that 70+ count already. Holt, Hannigan, and Bradley new up here, only in the bottom of the 4th inning. Another walk. He is amazing. Well, he's a walk machine. So the leadoff man's on for the Red Sox. Gather your family, celebrate Mother's Day weekend at Oriole Park, Saturday, May 7th. Birds in Oakland, 7:05. First 10,000 female fans 18 and over get the Orioles Campus Tote, presented by MLB Network. Then on Mother's Day, the first 10,000 female fans 18 and over get the Orioles Infinity Scarf. And after the game on Sunday, May 8th, all the youngsters who are 14 and under can run the bases. Orioles.com for tickets. Hannigan, a base hit, his first time up. He's going for more than a base hit on that one.
Still coming out of the gate swinging.
Ryan Hannigan trying to untie a 2-2 game with a swing of the bat. Holt, not a big lead at first. But with all the running that's been going on, Jimenez not taking any chances.
You definitely have to let him know you're thinking about him, because you know in the scouting reports they were going over, be aggressive on the bases with the ball to on the mound. You have to do that. It's proven.
Good fastball is in there for a strike to Ryan Hannigan. Real good numbers last year here at Fenway for Hannigan. He hit .310 here. Solid numbers in his home park, and that down the line and right will end up foul. Osvaldo Jimenez gets ahead of him, 0-2. Jackie Bradley Jr. will be waiting on deck. John Farrell's ball club. They've lost 3 in a row. 3-4 on the year. Their first homestand of the season. 0-2. Holt again back to the bag.
Probably not the best time to run 0-2, but it looked like he had a little lean there.
Got him on a called strike. So Hannigan is down. Strikeout number 3 for Jimenez.
Nice pitch here from Osvaldo. Boy, he can come up with some quality pitches. Take a look at the Mercedes pitch track. 2-seamer once again, running back over. Hannigan giving up on it. It works its way back over that outside edge.
Now Jackie Bradley Jr. lined out his first time up to first, right into the glove of Chris Davis. And the pitch taken for a strike. Ruben Amaro Jr., first base coach, having a word with Holt as he gets the signs from third. Hasn't really extended his lead much. Not going. And the pitch is outside for a ball. Holt takes off. So does he. Way back in right field at the wall. It'll take a hop right at the base 380 mark. Holt running will score easily. On his way to third is Jackie Bradley Jr. And he's in with a triple and an RBI. And the Red Sox take a 3-2 lead.
Now Red Sox work the hit and run to perfection here. Still early enough in the ball game. You don't have to force the issue to get the ball on the ground. He just got a pitch and covered it. Ball gets in Jonathan Scope's hands, and you don't know here. Cannon across the infield. Man, he's slapping the tag on. Did he get his hand in there? From this angle, man, he fighting for that base. You see, love it how he keeps his foot locked in there. He'll pull it back, but now Bradley got his hand in.
Bradley gets his first triple of the season. The infield is drawn in. He's got 4 RBIs. Mookie Betts. Betts up the middle. That'll bring a run home. Played by Scope barehanded and records the out. Good play by Scope to get an out on it. RBI credited to Betts, scoring Bradley, and it's 4-2.
Not wasting any time there. Runner at third base, put it in play hard. Waldo almost flagged that one down. Actually slowed it up enough. Give Bradley Jr. a chance to score.
So the bases are cleared. Leadoff walk started all this with Holt drawing it. And a bouncer out in front, and Caleb felt that one.
Oh, Caleb.
Richie Mancel's the trainer on his way out.
Well, Baldo spiking the slider here, and Caleb just trying to get out of the way. Leaves himself exposed and catches it where you're not really supposed to catch it. You know, it's not the first time it's happened to Caleb Joseph. Most catchers used to that kind of punishment, but some days it gets you a little worse than others, especially on a cold night.
Nobody has ever found the perfect response in front of 30,000 people to that particular play.
No. No, I don't know. It's only a few of us know how that feels. Really talk about it. It's all pain. And you laugh because you don't want to cry.
That's exactly. 1-0 delivery on the way. That'll be foul back. So Dustin Pedroia, base hit, a walk. He has scored a run. Bogarts has got 2 RBIs. Bradley and Betts each with 1. Each team with 6 hits in the ball game. Jimenez delivers and fooled him. Never got a good look at that one. Pedroia doesn't take many bad cuts, but that one was there.
Yeah, well, you see one of the better hitters in baseball getting fooled by an Ubaldo split finger. Nasty pitch, bottom drops right out of it.
Delivery on the way to him, and that'll be a fastball in. 324 on the year for Dustin Pedroia. Jimenez trying to get out of this. 4 walks surrendered, and it caught up with him here in the 4th inning. That 4th one starting the inning off and scoring. 2-2 pitch to Pedroia. Dismissed down low. And another full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
One thing about Ubaldo, he's not afraid to throw his secondary pitches when he's behind.
And Pedroia swings through it. So 4 strikeouts in the game, but the Red Sox will pick up a couple of runs here in the 4th inning, and now they have a 4-2 lead. Orioles, a destination for culinary adventure, from the fresh local seafood to an eclectic array of world-class cuisine. Savor the flavors of Sarasota Restaurant Week, June 1 through the 14th. Get information at savorsarasota.com. 72 degrees right now in Sarasota. 39. It's cold. Pitch is taken down low for a ball. No, the Orioles will have to battle back again. Mark Trumbo leading it off for the Orioles. He has grounded out and popped out. It'll be Trumbo, Hardy, and Alvarez. Joe Kelly, despite the number of pitches thrown, 3-2 counts, working behind hitters, has given up just the 2 runs on 6 hits. The Chris Davis home run in the 3rd inning. Orioles have already left 7 on base in the game. Goes away and gets the swinging strike, 1-2.
Manager John Farrell really needs Kelly to finish up this inning. He's fighting for more innings out of his starters.
Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss and a tag put on to be sure.
Good things happen when you can get ahead, and Kelly's fallen behind just too many times. He does have quality pitches, and they're showing you the hard slider down. And Trumbo, who's been red hot, swinging over the top.
J.J. Hardy. Hardy is grounded out. Had a double. He tried to extend into a triple. Got thrown out. Pitch will be taken for a ball from Kelly. Alvarez, the on deck batter for the Orioles. Breaking ball back in to catch the inside corner. Kelly with that 1-2 mark against the Orioles. 1-1 delivery. Hardy takes. It's a strike. They actually have tipped off the bat that time. Opened up against Toronto with that 7-run, 7-hit, 3-inning performance. So obviously much better start so far here. He's lost 2 games against the Orioles in this ballpark in 3 starts. That'll go to short. Big hop, Bogarts. 2 down. Tex Masson's word of the day, captain, to 29292 for your chance to win a meet and greet with Buck Showalter. That's captain to 29292, brought to you by Care First. Live fearless with a name trusted for over 75 years. Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield. 2 down, nobody on. Alvarez a base hit, and he has walked. 5 for 16 now, lifetime against Kelly. He's had as many at bats against Kelly as anybody in the Orioles lineup tonight. And we'll take the pitch inside for a ball.
Yeah, Joe Kelly, of course, came over from St. Louis, and Pedro, former Pittsburgh Pirate, so matchups there.
One-0 pitch to him, 1 around. Jim Reynolds, home plate umpire, will make that call. 1 ball, 1 strike count.
You see his pitch count finally reaching 100 pitches and almost 50-50 with the strikes and balls. Inconsistent.
Alvarez on the big cut on a pitch away. Kelly trying to have the first clean inning of the ball game. One, 2. And that'll be outside. Kelly, in the starts he's had against the Orioles, in 4 of the 5, he's allowed 3 or fewer runs, even though the record has ended up being 1-2 in those starts against the O's. Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way. Went for the outside corner and missed it. So 3-2 again.
Hey, well, you can see if you're over aggressive on Kelly, you help him out. You have to continue to be patient, discipline yourself in the zone, because he does make mistakes on the plate.
3-2 delivery, and that one down the line in left field. Holt, a long way to go, and that will be foul. Ends up in the seats, and Alvarez will come back. Hannigan not to have a word with Kelly on what they want to throw here.
Trying to get on the same page, but we've seen some problems. I think when a couple of the Red Sox pitchers just overthink is when they get in trouble. So just going out there and competing, trusting your stuff, and going at the hitters.
First action in the bullpen, Matt Barnes. Pretty clear Kelly's not going to go more than 5, but gets out of this inning, gives him a chance to be the winning pitcher. Again, the 3-2 delivery on the way, and he'll bounce it. Not where he wanted that one to be. 5 strikeouts and 5 walks. And Alvarez has been on all 3 times to the plate. And with 2 away, it will give Jonathan Schoop a chance. A couple of strikeouts in the ball game for Schoop. And now has moved up to 0 for 10 against Kelly.
Those walks are just extra opportunities.
He has gone both at bats earlier in the game on Schoop up, getting him to go after pitches either up in the strike zone or out of it.
And Jonathan showing there again that he's having a hard time laying off that pitch.
Here's the 0-1 delivery to him. And the 1-ball 1-strike count. One, 2 down. Alvarez being held at first. That one fouled off Hannigan. Takes the count to 1-2.
Got away with one right there. Hard slider. Stayed in Schoop's sweet spot. A little too long. Just got a little big on that one. Guys get big sometimes as a hitter. The bat head drops, thinking about trying to get one up over the green monster.
Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way. Punched in the air down the line. Ramirez does not have a play. So the count will stay at a ball and 2 strikes.
This could be a big time backbreaker right here if Jonathan Schoop finds a way to get on base, and the Red Sox have to go into the bullpen here. It could really set them back for a while.
Schoop again. Another foul ball. So the count stays at a ball and 2 strikes.
That if their bullpen was a little bit fresher, that Kelly would probably be out right now, leaning more towards the 110 pitch mark.
They'll try the 1-2 again, and Schoop did not go around on that. So the count will stay at 2 balls and 2 strikes. An arduous 5-inning journey.
Wow.
Joe Kelly. I mean, this is about as hard as you can work or want to work to try and get through 5 innings. 2-2 down. Alvarez remains at first base. See if he goes up again. Nope. And a base hit for Jonathan Scope. Alvarez is going to make a turn. He'll stay. Betts will get it back in. So John Farrell's and Carl Willis, pitching coach, have to deal with the issue here of with a 4-2 lead, 2 on. Do you leave Kelly in, let him try and get that one more out, or do you pull him out of here? Willis is going to come out to talk to him.
Well, nice approach here from Jonathan Scope. Two-seamer working its way back over, and he stays short. Puts a bat head on it, finds a hole.
Probably you're going to get 2 things from Carl Willis here, Mike. 1, how do you feel? 2, you got one more batter.
Yeah.
And if you don't get him, you're gone, so you better get him.
And he's lucky he's only got 30 seconds to talk to him.
Oops. Little collision there. Carl Willis and the umpire coming out because your time is up.
Yeah, I'm sure Willis wanted to say a few more things about being aggressive, more aggressive in the zone. I see Barnes getting prepared.
Barnes is ready. I mean, he's thrown enough. They can bring him in here if they want to. So the Orioles, runners on at first and second base, 2 down. Orioles 1 for 3, runners in scoring position. Caleb Joseph, a base hit, 1 for 2. He is struck out. Caleb goes after the first pitch. Foul tips that one. Well, this is going to be Kelly's chance to be a potential winning pitcher if he can get the final out here while the Red Sox still have the lead. For Caleb Joseph, a chance to get him out of the ball game, and the base hit could get a run in for the Orioles. Alvarez at second base, the walk. Scope base hit at first. Joseph will take the pitch away.
A lot of pitches here early in the season.
Sure, I was just thinking the same thing. It's, as you said, hard innings. People on base, 3-2 counts. 1-1 delivery. 1-2. Fans applauding either for a strikeout or trying to unthaw their hands. Either or. Tom Farrell hoping his starter can get an out right here. 1-2 delivery on the way, and he did. The Orioles, no runs on 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left on base. We will go to the bottom of the 5th inning with the Red Sox on top by 2.
Orioles looking to sweep the Red Sox and stay undefeated. How about this play? Where's Hardy? Scope gets the head up. There's JJ. Nice job covering third base on a very unique double play ball. Here's Hardy again, diving deep in the hole. He's come up with some huge plays this series. How about now? Where is he? Oh, ranging up the middle. Little backhand toss for another double play. And there's that smile. Of course, a couple home runs last night. Hooking around the pesky pole. Remember, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. Well, here we are, bottom of the fifth. Boston still has the lead, 4-2. Ubaldo out there, 91 pitches thrown, hoping to get through this inning unscathed.
And the breaking ball will be taken down low. Bogarts, big hit in the game in the third inning, 2 RBI double. Bogarts, Ortiz, and Ramirez, and got him to go after one away. So Jimenez trying to do the same thing Kelly did, and that's try and get through 5 innings and hope the Orioles could pick up a couple of runs, 3 of them, maybe give him a chance to be the winning pitcher. He'll be outside with that. 2-ball, 2-strike count on Bogarts. Tyler Wilson hasn't thrown for a while, up in the bullpen. Vance Worley's going to be the other starter in Texas. Ball put up in the air, shallow right. Handled by Jonathan Scope, and Bogarts is retired. Our PNC minor league report. PNC for the achiever in you.
Ariel Miranda, picked up from Cuba last season, had a solid year. You see his numbers on the bottom there, 6-3 with a 3.60. Well, why not promote him to AAA? See how he does. His first start, 4 2/3, scattering the 6 hits, only the 1 earned run, a couple walks, 6 punch outs. Good arm, the ability to mix up his pitches, locate his fastball, split and change as well from the left side as well. A lot of people thinking he could be up here helping this big club in a hurry.
David Ortiz showing bunt, takes strike. A walk, couple of them for Ortiz. 1 ball, 1 strike count, 346 average, 3 home runs. Goes after that one down to first, fair ball. Hop Davis, and a couple of quick outs here in the 5th inning. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Ramirez grounded out, lined out into a double play. Looking for the 1-2-3 inning here in the 5th. Breaking ball, gonna miss inside. Red Sox will stay in division play. They've got a string of division games, starting with the Orioles. Toronto's going to be coming in. Toronto's got a 4-game set, including that Marathon Day game, 11 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Clay Buchholz and J.A. Happ scheduled to pitch in the Marathon Day game. 1-1 delivery, and that's fouled off. So the Oriole matchups in Texas tomorrow night: Chris Tillman, Cole Hamels, then Vance Worley, Martin Perez. Devontae Gallardo will work game 3 against Colby Lewis, and Mike Wright and Derek Holland in the final game. 7:30 O's Extra tomorrow, and 8 o'clock for the game.
It's going to be a nice test getting down to Texas, facing these Rangers. Last year ended up in first place in the West.
1-2 outside,
and they're healthy this year. Last year, it's amazing how they worked their way through that season with so many injuries, especially to their rotation. Landed some key pieces the trade deadline.
3-ball, 2-strike count, missed down low, and back to some baseball temperatures, which will be
pleasant. Yeah,
it'll be nice for the players. I mean, it's been tough. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Hanley Ramirez 2 down. And he is gone. So a good job here in this inning. Jimenez picks up the strikeout, retires the side in order. 5 complete, 4-2 Boston.
Harrison tonight facing the Orioles. A few more change-ups to keep the hitters off balance, but the command wasn't there. Boy, did he battle through 5 innings, 116 pitches thrown, but still in line to make it 11-12 now, potentially without losing. Red Sox going to the bullpen. Matt Barnes in this season using the fastball 62% of the time. It's a good one, 93-96 with the heater. Breaking ball has a curve and slider and a straight change 17% of the time. 2.45 earned run average thanks to the Orioles. First faced them in the series. They were able to put a run on the board. Back-to-back doubles gives him the earned run average. Opponent's hitting .250 overall, and he is a fly ball pitcher. 89% of his outs in the air.
Out of Danbury, Connecticut. And Ubaldo Jimenez with the pitching coach Dave Wallace. He too has had to work here in this ball game. So Barnes will be working to the Orioles as we go to the 6th inning. Hyun-Soo Kim has drawn 2 walks. Rickard and then Manny Machado due up for the Orioles. 25-year-old right-hander, both starter and reliever last year with Boston. 5 different stints with a big club. Swing and a miss by Kim. As a reliever last season, 3-2 and a 4.13 earned run average. 30 games in the relief role with Boston. Barnes 0-1. His 19th round. 19th overall selection, rather. 2011, so first round pick. 0-2 count.
Actually played on that UConn team with George Springer. A talented group there.
Kim waiting on it, and the pitch will be outside for a ball. Kim has had so far tonight a quiet night in left field. Not been tested on the Green Monster, which I'm sure is just fine by him.
Yeah.
Having come here for the first time for this series and worked out there. Swing and a miss. Play's got to be made by Hennigan. Strikeout recorded. Kim down and 1 away. The arch rival Yankees going to make their first visit to Oriole Park on Tuesday, May 3. Begin a 3-game midweek series. You can help paint the park orange with this great matchup. Good seats still remain. Get yours at Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD.
Well, after a couple of walks, Barnes buries the curveball, throws it hard. Kim trying to do whatever he can to make contact with it. Nasty pitch there.
One down, record top of the order. Flied out, fielder's choice, and a walk. Trying to keep his 7-game hit streak going. More importantly for the Orioles, get something started here in the 6th inning as they are trailing by 2. Record still that average up there at 345, a home run, 3 RBIs. Barnes, the 0-1 delivery to him, will be down the line in right field. Betts going over. Tough play, has room.
Nice play right there. Mookie Betts. Impressive out there. Covering some ground. Very tough right field here at Fenway Park.
And with 2 away, Manny Machado, a double, a single. And he is flied out to center field. So Manny's up the average to 438 mark on the year. Barnes delivery to him, up and in. Stands him up with the 96 a little bit, moves him back. Tyler Wilson getting ready to come on for the Orioles. Tommy Lane in the bullpen for the Red Sox. And Inichi Tazawa as well. 1-0 count. We've had bullpen gate here at Fenway Park during this series. There are cameras out there so that the dugouts can see the pitchers warming up. Cameras in each bullpen. The camera in the Red Sox bullpen is up against the wall and as a sideways view. There you see right there. They put a towel over it in the Orioles bullpen so the Red Sox can't see their pitchers warming up. Why? Because the camera in the Orioles bullpen is right behind, so you can see the pitcher, see his pitches. And the Orioles were convinced that the Red Sox were using that to take a look at the guys warming up so they'd know what they were throwing. The camera in the other bullpen is on the side. You can't see.
Ooh, okay.
So they covered it up. They've done that all 3 games here. 2-1 delivery on the way. Ball in the air to the gap, going over Betts and can't get it. It'll go to the wall. On the way to second base, Manny Machado, and he's got a double. And the Orioles, with Manny Machado's 3rd hit of the ball game, will get the potential tying run to the plate here in the 6th.
Boy, Manny's putting some impressive swings on the baseball to start this season. That's a nasty fastball down and away, and he smokes it, beating Betts deep to the gap. One hops the wall, walks into second base. Manny is on fire right now.
Now we're going to get matchups. So John Farrell is on his way out. And with Chris Davis coming up, Farrell will make the change. Had Lane ready out there in the bullpen. The Orioles now with that big home run bat coming with an opportunity to get it tied. Pitching change brought to you by Jiffy Lube, who'd like to pitch you a change. Regular oil changes are proven to keep your car on the road longer. Drive in today.
Good fastball, 67% of the time they'll use that. He gets some good two-seam movement on it. Some sinking, running action. Breaking ball is a slider, and occasionally he'll flip in a split finger to right-handed hitters. Nothing on the board for an earned run average, but he's only been in the one game. Velocity not quite there in spring training, but he's been a major part of this Red Sox bullpen the last 2 seasons.
Appeared in the ball game yesterday for an inning, had a couple of strikeouts as he wrapped it up 1-2-3 in the 9th. So here is Chris Davis against him. Chris is 1 for 7 off Lane. Home run for Chris, 3rd inning. Grounded out his last time up, and the pitch is there for a strike.
Take a look at Davis's home run earlier in the ball game. Inside fastball. He does not try to do too much. Pulls the hands in. Opposite field homer for the Crusher.
Runner on at second base, 2 down. Manny Machado, 3-hit ball game. There he goes to 3rd. Davis swings, misses, throw down. Got him. Ooh. That is not where you want to make the 3rd out of an inning in a ball game where you are trailing.
Yeah, you got to be sure. And Manny almost got the right hand in there, but a nice tag by Shaw.
You take the bat out of Chris Davis's hand in that situation. That is not a good play. Red Sox lead at 4-2.
Arsenal comparison tonight compared to his first start of the season. A few more fastballs and a few less changeups and split fingers. It was a laborious day for Ubaldo. 4 walks in this ball game. His first start, no walks and 9 punch outs, but he kept his team in it. Now he gives way to Tyler Wilson. This season, Wilson's thrown the 3 innings and using that fastball 74% of the time. Good hard slider 24% of the time. Now he can move that fastball around. Good two-seamer. Keeps hitters off balance. Solid 3 innings of work. Came in relief on opening day, but that's the last time he's pitched. Held opponents to just that 182 batting average.
A long time in the bullpen without getting into a game. First pitch, center field, base hit, Travis Shaw. So Shaw here in the bottom of the 6th inning picks up his first hit of the ball game, going after Tyler Wilson, Holt, Hannigan, and then Bradley. Potential batters here against the 26-year-old Wilson out of Charlottesville, Virginia. Orioles picked him up 10th round, 2011 draft. Brock Holt. Holt drew a walk, scored in the 4th inning, and has struck out. In at third base, Manny Machado, and the pitch is there for a strike. 2 runs, 3 hits for Boston in the 3rd inning. 2 RBI double Bogarts, and then an RBI triple by Bradley and a ground ball RBI by Betts in the 4th inning. The 4 runs for Boston. The Orioles have the 2-run homer by Chris Davis. That ball off the fist. Jonathan Scope runs it over, makes the play. 1 down. Every Sunday home game this season, all the kids 14 and under get to run the bases. Great chance for them. And all you got to do is make plans. Make it a family day at the ballpark and cap it off with a tremendous memory for the youngsters. The next Sunday home game is going to be May 1. White Sox will be in town. For tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. A lot of fun after the game watching the kids run. They get such a charge out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Some walk the bases so they can do it, stay out as long as possible. Others go as fast as they can.
Slide into every base.
Here's Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan a base hit, and he has struck out. 7 hits for the Red Sox, 8 for the Orioles. Orioles, it's one of the few ball games where they have left people on base. Last inning, the only inning where they did not leave a base runner. 9 have been left on so far. Red Sox have left 4. 1-0 count, runner off first. Hannigan with a tenacious cut. 1-1.
Fastball there from Tyler Wilson, moving around the perimeter a little bit. In the heart of the plate. Good job, right to the top of the strike zone there.
Tyler Wilson out of UVA, where he played baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Foul back into the screen. 1-2.
Tyler had a great spring training. It was an open door, some jobs to be won, and Tyler Wilson came in prepared and won a spot on this team. Now it's a matter of how Buck Showalter's going to use him. Is he going to be another long man out of the bullpen? Is he going to get some spot starts? Buck loves his competitiveness, and his stuff will play for sure.
Head on the count here, 1-2. Just missed. Trying to drop one in on the inside corner.
A nice slider right here. Fooling Hannigan. I think he might have fooled the umpire as well. That's a pretty good pitch. Caleb caught it fine too.
Buck letting him know he's having a good day. 2 ball, 2 strike delivery. Runner goes. Tried to go behind him. Puts it in the seats though down the right field line. That'll bring Shaw back to first base and Hannigan back to the plate.
Well, Shaw and the Red Sox kind of guessing that Tyler Wilson's going to throw another off-speed pitch. High fastball, and boy, Hannigan's lucky he put that one in play foul, because a great pitch for Caleb to handle.
Two delivery on the way again. That one's popped up. Infield first. Davis. First has got it. 2 down. Let's take a look at our Major League notebook. See what went on this day in the game. Back in 1914, Major League Baseball returned to Baltimore. It was the first Federal League game to be played in Baltimore. In 1954, the new Orioles, coming from St. Louis, would open in Detroit, lose that one 3-0. And that same year on this date, same day, Hank Aaron went 0 for 5. It was his Major League debut. All taking place on this date in Major League history. 2 down. Jackie Bradley Jr. makes the heater strike on the inside corner. He came up, delivered that big triple in the 4th inning after the leadoff walk to Holt. The only walk surrendered by Ubaldo Jimenez that would come around to score. He gave up 4. Once again, with Jimenez only going 5 in this ball game, the Orioles continue with their starters not getting very deep into ball games. Jimenez has been the only one in his first start able to put up any innings. The rest, it's been 5 or less. And now Jimenez 5 or less. Pitch up high. And a 1-ball 2-strike count.
Well, they're either going to have to find a way to get a little bit deeper or be prepared to transition this bullpen and start opening the door for guys to come in and out using the minor leagues.
1-2 down the line. Pesky pull. Foul.
Not that easy. A couple of the Red Sox have tried it today. You know,
you gotta have a fade.
Bradley just missing one there. Ramirez tried earlier in the ball game.
JJ had the fade. You got to hit it down there and have it fade.
Yeah, JJ's got the magic.
He's got the magic. Get it around that pole. 1-2. Shaw with a leadoff single, still over there at first. Grounder to third. Machado short hops and guns it over to record the out. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. Red Sox on top, and our Honda do-ups, Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, and J.J. Hardy. Baseball on Masson, brought to you by American Standard Heating and Air. It's their all-star sales event with up to $1,100 in instant rebates or 0% APR for 36 months. All of us in the know and on the go understand it is never too cold for baseball. Delighted to see young lady right there. She knows. That's right. You tell them. Ice cream? Of course ice cream. It doesn't matter if it's 35, 10 below, whatever. Ice cream. Very good. Did you have your ice cream today?
I didn't have any ice cream
today.
Any.
Don't know. Hurting.
I know.
Chris Davis back up. He was up when Machado got thrown out at third base. And a strike taken on the inside corner. So Tommy Lane came on and watched the caught stealing. Now gets another chance at Davis. Chris 1 for 3, the home run. Third inning, 2 RBIs, his 4th of the year. Lane will be outside to him. Probably the only batter he's going to face. Trumbo, Hardy. Bullpen is active for Boston and has been. 1-1. Chris in the air to center field. Bradley going back at the warning track, and he's got it. That's a 400-foot out right there by Chris Davis.
Take a look at the highest batting average in close and late situations this season. Baltimore Orioles leading the way with that .395 batting average. Now close or late is 7th inning or later, with the batting team ahead by a run, tied, or with the tying run on base. at bat or on deck. Now, they've had plenty of those situations this season. Of course, both games here in Fenway Park, they were behind going into the end of the ball game. They exploded for 4 runs. Of course, last night and a couple nights ago, Trumbo hit a big homer.
Inichi Tazawa coming out of the bullpen. He will face Mark Trumbo.
He has been entrenched in this Boston bullpen the past few seasons as a late inning reliever. Fastball 38% of the time. It's a good fastball, mid-90s with the heater. Breaking ball, he can mix it up, hard curve, slow curve, but also the split finger. Nasty pitch for him. 4 games this year, 2.70 earned run average, 5 punch-outs already on the young season. Big-time strikeout pitcher. Opponents hitting just 167 off Tazawa.
29-year-old right-hander from Japan. Inichi Tazawa works to Mark Trumbo. This will be the 250th pitch thrown in this game. So we are averaging 42 pitches per inning through the first 6. And are we some excited? Did I just say that?
Did I tell you I can't feel my toes right now?
The only saving grace has been the wind has stayed pretty calm tonight. In fact, flag right up against the pole right now. If that wind was blowing at all, the wind chill would be somewhere in the 20s. Here's the 0-1 delivery on the way. Swing and a miss. Only 80 miles an hour. The big show with a windup and then the off-speed delivery.
Yeah, you got to stay on Tazawa. Hit off-speed pitches. Bundled up there.
And necessarily so. Trumbo 0 for 3 in the ball game. Tazawa with the 0-2 delivery, and that'll be down low. Against the Orioles, Inichi has a 3-1 record, very solid 1.71 ERA in his career. He's appeared now in 29 games, all in relief. Picked up 3 wins and a loss in those outings. Good, outstanding setup man for the Red Sox over the years. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Trumbo waiting on it. Mark will foul it off. Tazawa is now in his 5th season. 4 started in 2012, 37 games. He came with the Red Sox organization at Pawtucket and worked his way up and has gotten it done.
And I thought he might be ready for that closer role last season when O'Hara went down. Didn't quite get the results he wanted.
Trumbo battling, fouls it off again. So Mark holds the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Two heavily worked bullpens in the first week of the season. The Red Sox pen 3.91 ERA is ninth. The Orioles bullpen 1.84, fourth in the American League. Runs for both teams coming off the starters so far in this game. Joe Kelly, 2 runs, 7 hits over 5. 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. And Ubaldo Jimenez, 4 runs, 6 hits over 5. 4 walks, 5 strikeouts.
Both pitchers really flirted with disaster the 5 innings that they pitched. Too many extra opportunities, the walks, hitting on base, and could have been a much earlier exit for both if not coming up with some big pitches. Help from their defense.
Trumbo waiting, 1-2 delivery again, and the fastball up high. 2 ball 2 strike count on Mark. The Orioles, after a sweep, this 3-game set, but they're going to have to do it late inning comeback here. Tazawa with a 2-2. And Trumbo in the air, right center, hit it deep. Going back, Betts. It's in the well. Catchable. Boy. Davis and Trumbo on a couple of fly balls, both 400 feet away, but out there in that vast meadowland that's Fenway's center, you can catch him.
Yeah, you can hit it 420 that way, but under 300 feet down the right field line, and it's only 310 to the wall. Green Monster. Wish you got to get it elevated a little bit.
I said Betts. That's Bradley out there in center tracking it down. So 2 away here in the 7th inning. J.J. Hardy now a double thrown out at third in his first at bat, 2nd inning. Has grounded out twice since. There have been a couple of key plays on the base paths negative for the Orioles. That was one of them. Could have started an inning out. That was a leadoff batter, Hardy was, in the 2nd inning, and then Manny Machado getting caught for the 3rd out in the 8th inning with Davis at the plate. 2 big plays on the base paths. Tazawa's delivery, and that ball to second. Spun around. Pedroia makes the play. Hardy retired, a 1-2-3 inning. 7th inning stretch time here at Fenway Park, Boston. The Red Sox lead it 4-2. Brought to you by Miller Lite.
How about this play? Ground ball to Manny Machado. Betts is right in front of him. I'm going to tag it, but no, Betts goes down. He gets the force at second. Scope looks up. Hardy's at third base. Great play by Scope as well. Stretching to get the force and then the cannon over to third. Hardy in the right position, as always.
And we just noticed looking at the replay, he had the ball, Machado did, in his hand.
Right. Yeah.
Not
so
in the glove.
It wouldn't have counted anyway if he tags him.
Yeah.
We might have to talk about that after the game with him.
Good heads-up play though to cover third base by JJ.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have been in the right position all year long. JJ Hardy's always in the right position. I'm more impressed though with Jonathan Scope on the other end, stretching to get that force out at second base, and then the wherewithal to understand where Hardy's going to be to throw behind and get bets.
Red Sox batting in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Mookie Betts, top of the order, a run scored, couple of hits, 2 singles, picked up an RBI, he's had a stolen base. Deeply involved in this ball game. Foul back. Tyler Wilson on for his 2nd inning of work out of the bullpen for the Orioles. Betts, Pedroia, and Bogaerts due up. Red Sox trying to get out of a 3-game losing streak. They can pick up the win.
Look at that series he's having. Big numbers.
7 hits, 13 at bats for him. He's had 4 RBIs in this series. And that has put his average up to 278 on the year. 2 ball, 2 strike count from Wilson. And the pitch will be taken down low. We have had a number of 3-2 counts. It just seems to be the going concern number in this ball game by all of the pitchers, starters and relievers. Here's the 3-2 to Betts. Second base, Jonathan Scope. 1 down, bottom of the 7th. Follow Orioles baseball live with MLB.com at BAT app. You can stay up to the moment, any moment, game day. You get live game video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download it, MLB.com at BAT, the #1 app for live baseball for your phone or tablet. Koji O'Hara in the bullpen. Dustin Pedroia, a walk, a base hit, and he has struck out. He has scored a run. And we'll take that one for a strike. 4 hits, 12 at bats in the series, has a 7-game hit streak. Continued here tonight. 0-1 delivery to him, reaching, fouled it back. He was looking for something more inside and cued that one up off the end of the bat.
A couple nice pitches right there. Tyler Wilson showing his ability to really control and manipulate the baseball. Change up to start off, a little 2-seam change up, bringing it back, and then cuts one off that outside corner.
0-2 delivery to him and got it by him. So Wilson picks up the strikeout. Pedroia's had 2 Ks in the ball game, 2 down.
Pretty impressive sequence right there by Tyler Wilson, and not missing his spot at all. Philip Joseph setting up away, hitting the glove. Pedroia down on 3 pitches.
Xander Bogaerts, a double and 2 RBIs in the 3rd inning. Got the ball game tied up. Right now, Jackie Bradley Jr., the go-ahead RBI and a triple in the 4th. Mookie Betts, RBI and a ground ball, the other run. He'll punt that one to second base over the head of Scope. Trumbo will play it in. And Bogaerts has himself another base hit. So he's 2 for 4.
Bogaerts loves hitting here at Fenway Park, that's for sure.
Each team 8 hits. David Ortiz, 2 walks and a ground ball out. Orioles put the shift on. And Ortiz fouls it off at the plate.
Good movement on the fastball by Wilson. 2-seamer. He's getting on top of it, and I think that foul ball got a piece of him.
Short lead at first. Ortiz will take it away. Ortiz looking to add to RBI totals, those career numbers. He's too shy of 29th place, now held by Tony Perez in RBIs. 1-1 delivery on the way, and that one will be fouled back. He wanted it. See him clench his fist after he fouls it off on the third base side.
Another good changeup though from Wilson. Just a little off balance. Yeah, he might want to hit that ball, but fastball change, moving his location a little bit.
1-2. Ortiz fouls that one right off Caleb Joseph. Count will stay at a ball and 2 strikes. .308 lifetime average here at Fenway Park for Ortiz. Jonathan Scope hiding in right field on the shift. He is way out there at second base. Popped up into the other way. Machado's going out, wants it, and will make the catch. That'll do it here in the 7th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. We go to the 8th. Orioles down by 2. Some headlines worthy of note from the Baltimore Sun. Orioles starter Mike Wright's escape act shows his growth since last season. He did so. He got a win in the ballgame last night, got out of a couple of jams to do so. 2016 could be all about the Orioles and Nationals rivalry, says SB Nation, and why winning un-Yankee-like is this team's only chance in the New York Post. Not the Bronx Bombers, but the small ball Yankees they're talking about this year. Some of the headlines around baseball.
Take a look at Koji Uehara here. This season has pitched Arsenal the fastball 50% of the time. That invisible fastball, 85 to 88 with the pitch, but great rotation and arm speed kind of sell it, and a lot of swing throughs. A breaking ball, occasional slider type cutter hybrid, but the split finger, his money pitch. Nothing on the board for an earned run average. 4 games, 4 punch outs and a walk for Koji. Nobody's even gotten a hit.
Junichi Tazawa worked 2/3 of an inning, 0s across. Lane got the out and the only batter he faced. Barnes worked 2/3 of an inning, had a strikeout, 1 hit against him. The relievers, and now Koji Uehara. Pedro Alvarez will take it for a strike. Koji against the Orioles, 2 wins, 2 losses, and 5 saves. .129 earned run average. 23rd game he has pitched against the Orioles. 3 runs, 12 hits over 21 innings in those games. 0-2 count. Alvarez, 2 walks and a base hit. Stranded all 3 times on base in this game. 0-2. Into the shift. It's Travis Shaw, the third baseman, who makes that play because he was over on the second base side. 1 down.
Yeah, if you're an infielder nowadays, you better be used to playing both sides of the infield with all the shifts going on.
What Showalter was saying, was talking about how much Manny Machado likes to play shortstop, and he said, well, he plays shortstop most of the time because we're always in the shift, and he's at the shortstop position,
right?
Which is true. Swing and a miss. 78 miles an hour on that delivery. Jonathan Scope, a base hit. He has struck out twice. He's had a couple of hits, 10 at bats in this series. 269 now on the season. Koji throwing strikes. Up 0-2.
Koji's always been very aggressive. He is not afraid to challenge hitters at all, but he has that incredible movement, obviously, on his split finger. But typically he'll get ahead with that fastball. I'll call it that invisible fastball. Got a quick enough arm. Not be coming out with the velocity, but that rotation he gets on it, that rise ball effect.
That one down the line in left field. Holt going over into the corner and in fair territory makes the catch. Scope retired, 2 down. Koji, of course, came over to the Orioles after pitching in Japan from '99 through 2008, and then was with the Orioles from 2009 through the part of the 2011 season. Went to Texas and then came to Boston in 2013. Caleb Joseph, a base hit. He has struck out twice. Big cut. Got a strike, couldn't get it lined up though, and an 0-1 count.
Well, there it is, the effect of that fastball. Not overpowering by any means, but it stays true through the zone. It kind of gives that optical illusion as it like it's rising through the zone.
O'Hara's delivery, missed a little bit up high. 1 ball, 1 strike count, 2 down. In the air to center, and he's got himself a base hit. So Caleb Joseph 2 for 4 in the ball game, 2 down here in the 8th inning, and with just a 4-2 lead, again the Orioles are going to get the potential tying run to the plate.
What you want, find a way, scrape and claw, get a guy on base. Opportunity for Kim here.
Kim has drawn a couple of walks and he has struck out. Red Sox will put the shift on against him. Showed bunt. Did he go? No. He's got that whole third base side open with Shaw. Shaw was way back. Now Shaw's Bogarts rather was way back. Now he's going to move in as the Red Sox leave the shortstop over there.
Yeah, good idea by Kim with a big shift. Why not? Get on base, keep the pressure on.
Swing and a miss on that one, and a 1 ball 1 strike count.
Split finger fading down and away, and Kim front side kind of leaving a little early on that one.
Caleb Joseph at first base. 2 outs, 1-1 delivery. Now shows it again, skips. Good play by Hannigan. Ball bounced, he came up with it, so the runner's got to stay. Toronto beat the Yankees 7-2 in Toronto tonight. Pineda took the loss for the Yankees, gave up 3 runs, 2 earned, 5 hits over 6 innings. Jay Happ got the win. Just a run, 7 hits over 6. Toronto picks up their 4th win of the year. And that one hit in the air to center field. Again, another long fly ball. Bradley back to get it, and that will do it here in the 8th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Red Sox 4-2. Join us again tomorrow as the O's start a 4-game set with the Rangers in Arlington. Chris Tillman will be on the mound against Cole Hamels. Our coverage on MASN 2 begins at 7:30. O's Extra presented by Jeep, followed by game coverage at 8. All the access you need right here on MASN.
Well, let's take a little look at the Rangers. Preview here. It's going to be a 4-game series, a long one. It's going to be a tough one. This is a tough team here in the Western Division of the American League. A fine-looking young rookie, Noma Mazara, 6 for 13. Great start here. He can cover some ground in the outfield. Playing right field right now for the Rangers. See the starters: Hamels, Perez, Lewis, Holland. It's a healthy rotation. They have a nice combination of youth and veteran players. Of course, Beltran, the third baseman, had another good year. Great team speed on that Rangers squad as well.
Mentioned earlier, Texas lost today, 10 innings, 4-2. That one down the line and foul. Seattle's Daho Lee had a 10th inning home run to give the Seattle the win. So Texas traveling back home from Seattle. The Orioles from Boston to Texas for the game tomorrow night. Hanley Ramirez, the 0-1 delivery. That'll be fouled off. Ramirez has an 0 for 3 in the ball game, a 1 for 10 in the series. Ramirez coming into this ball game with a .321 average against the Red Sox. They've held him down pretty well here in the series.
Well, they sure have. He was red hot coming in, and had to hold him to just the 1 hit.
Tyler Wilson working in his 3rd inning of relief. Set up away by Caleb Joseph. That one again fouled off in the upper deck. And an 0-2 count. Wilson has given up just 2 hits, 2 singles. No walks and a strikeout in the first 2 innings worked. Shaw and Holt will be due up in this 8th inning for Boston. Ramirez refusing to make an out. Fouling off pitches.
Well, 0-2 here. Getting ahead of Ramirez is one thing, but you better be careful. He's gotten away with a couple pitches. Take a look at the pitch track. The 3rd pitch after getting ahead up in the zone with the fastball. Fourth pitch, a slider that stays in the heart of the plate. Got away with 2 there. Better execute now.
Wilson with the 0-2 delivery, and he did. Let the pitch to go down and away to him. Gets the strikeout on Ramirez.
That's where Caleb wanted it. Yeah, when you execute, good things happen. How about this slider? Oh, it's all over the dish, but when it gets in front of the plate, the bottom drops out of it. Ramirez impressed with that slider.
Shaw's had a base hit. Stands in with 1 away. Has struck out, hit into a fielder's choice as well. He's hitting at .304 to start the season. Takes the pitch outside. Orioles looking ahead. 9th inning. We'll have the top of the order coming up. .2-0 delivery, and that's fouled right straight back. Big cut. Shaw trying to line up a heater. Showalter's Ball Club, they have not lost. 7-0. They'll need a 9th inning to keep it that way. .2-1 delivery to Shaw. Check swing, roller. Machado makes the throw. A little scoop by Chris Davis. Shaw's retired. 2 down.
Really, that's why Manny so good over there. When the Orioles employ that shift, Manny's in charge of the whole left side of the infield. He has the ability to get the first quick step coming in on slow rollers. He can make plays back on the grass. Another play that looks routine for Machado, but a very difficult play on the run.
2 down, nobody on. Brock Holt, a walk and a run scored. He has popped out and struck out. Holt goes after the first one. Jonathan Scope is up with it. And a real good performance here. 3 innings worth by Tyler Wilson. Now the Orioles need offense. We go to the 9th inning with the O's down by 2. Baseball on Masson, brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Navy Federal, proudly serving the armed forces and their families for over 80 years, federally insured by NCUA. Gary Thorne and Mike Bordick, Fenway Park, as the Orioles try and come back here in the 9th inning.
And the Red Sox are going to go to their new closer, Craig Kimbrell. Chris Davis touched him the other night with the bomb to center field. Trying to beat the O's here. The fastball 70% of the time. It is a power fastball. Rush it up there 94 to 99 miles an hour. Has a curve to go along with it. And there you see he has picked up a save Earned run average helped out by Chris Davis.
So Kimbrel trying for a little redemption here in the final game of this series as the Red Sox try and avoid the sweep. Rickard up will take the pitch for a strike. Orioles down by 2. Had the lead 2-0 top of the 3rd. Red Sox tied it up bottom of the 3rd. And then Boston got 2 more in the 4th. Nobody has scored since. Starting pitchers are the pitchers of record. Baldo Jimenez for the Orioles. Joe Kelly for the Red Sox. Kimbrel appearing in game number 4 with the 1 save and a blown save. 3 runs on 1 hit and a strike. First base umpire Manny Gonzalez.
And he throws his breaking ball so hard, 88 miles an hour here. He's gearing up for the heat. And the bottom drops out. No check swing there. Going against Rickard.
So Rickard with a 1-2 count. Has not had a hit in this game after having hit in the first 7. 1-2 delivery to him, and that'll be up high. Kimbrel at 99. Two balls, 2 strikes. Orioles have been able to get the potential tying run to the plate twice since trailing. And a heater away.
A nasty fastball right here. 98 miles an hour, and he's staying away from Joey Rickard. That's his comfort zone. Doesn't like coming in. He's better trying to work the outside corner. Does there.
So Rickard's 7-game win streak will end unless the Orioles can come back here. Manny Machado, 3-hit ball game for Manny. He's hit in all 8, 2 doubles, a single. 3 for 4 in the ball game, hitting at .455. 1 down in the 9th. Rears back and puts the mustard on.
He does. Here it is. Hit it if you can. Approach.
Kimbrel with the 0-1 delivery. Manny will take that one, and it will be outside. Take a look at our Care First player of the game. You can vote MASNsports.com/CareFirst for tonight's Care First Fearless Player of the Game. Live fearless. The name trusted for over 75 years. Care First. Blue Cross Blue Shield. Swung on, foul tip.
Healthy cut right there from Manny Machado. I don't think there's anybody else on base. He was trying to hit a grand slam right there.
1-2. Machado waiting on it, and it'll be outside. Two and 2 on Manny. Chris Davis waiting on deck. Chris Davis.
Oh, he had a chance to face Kimbrel on Monday. And he left one about 450 feet away, dead center field. Bomb to break the hearts of Red Sox fans.
Kimbrel had walked a couple ahead of Davis. So Chris stands in, 2 down. The Orioles 7-game win streak on the line. The home run tonight, 1 for 4, 2 RBI homer, 3rd inning. Those are the Oriole runs. Kimbrel's pitch to him is in there for a strike. Our Lexus of Towson drive of the game.
Well, the crusher getting hot. Inside fastball going the other way over the green monster. Get the Orioles on the board.
Drive of the game brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 luxury dealer. Come see why at lexusoftowson.com. 0-1 delivery by Kimbrel. That'll go off the glove. One ball, one strike count. Orioles got a 2-out runner on in the 8th inning. Could not move it around. Manny Machado double in the 6th inning, but he got caught stealing, trying to go to 3rd and that inning. 1-1 delivered to Davis. That's a strike of the knees. 31,011 announced attendance here at Fenway tonight, as the Red Sox are looking for their first win at home to start this year. Davis 1-2. That's the ball game. And again, we'll make the throw to end it officially, and the Red Sox have the win. They comes in and strikes out the side. That's the Kimbrel they were looking for when they signed him up to be the closer. And that will do it for the Orioles win streak at 7, as it is a 4-2 final. 4-8-0 for Boston, 2-9-0 for the Orioles.